What does green mean? If you're from the flowing plains of the Southwest, it's North Texas. If it's Bourbon Street and street lamps, it's the French Quarter. If you're the nation's leading rusher, you're Patrick Cobbs of North Texas. A team in search of 9 straight wins. If you're a Tiger, then roar about the success of quarterback Danny Wimprine and a Memphis team in its first bowl appearance in 32 years. The bowl season kicks off with 2 teams with contrasting styles. The New Orleans Bowl starts now.
We got the greatest fans in the world, and they're proud of you. They're proud of what you've done. Make them proud again tonight. Make your university proud. Make your family, make your friends proud of you. By the way you carry yourself and by the way you play. Offense, hold on to it. Defense, knock it loose. But most of all, have the best time. Soak it up, guys. Have the best time you've ever had playing football. And I mean it. You better have fun out there tonight, or I'm going to be real mad in the all season. You have the best time you've ever had playing the game of football.
In case you can't tell, Tommy West and the Memphis Tigers, and especially their fans, have waited 32 years, and they're letting it loose for this first appearance of the postseason since 1971. Memphis and 3-time Sun Belt Conference champion North Texas tonight in the New Orleans Bowl, and we welcome you inside the Superdome in the Big Easy, where we start and will finish the postseason here on January 4th. Welcome again, Dave Barnett, Bill Curry. Happy to be joined by Chris Steelman. 32 years since Memphis played in a bowl. That bowl doesn't even exist anymore, the Pasadena Bowl. North Texas knows all about long waits. They waited 42 years to get here 2 years ago. Now they're the old hands. They've been here 3 years in a row, and they made it this year on the backfill of the nation's leading rusher, Patrick Cobbs.
His name is Patrick Cobbs, and he is the single biggest surprise that I have had in this bowl season. I must say it's a pleasant surprise. He is the real deal. He is indeed the leading rusher in the United States of America at 157 yards a game. And Chris, he averages 5.5 yards per carry. But there are weapons on the other side of the ball as well.
Yeah, and that weapon right here is Danny Wimprine, a local kid from New Orleans. Had to get over 100 tickets for this football game. The thing about Danny Wimprine is he'll set records. He can make every throw that needs to be made, the soft touch, the deep bomb. The one thing that might hurt him is, I never thought I would say this, he has a linebacker mentality, which gets him in trouble in his decision-making process. If he struggles early, they might go to the bullpen early and call the left-hander, Bobby Roberson, just to settle Danny down. Watch him tonight. He has to get off to a good start for Memphis to be in this ball game.
Former Missouri Valley Conference rivals. They haven't played in 23 years. And when we come back, Heather Cox will talk about the road the Tigers took to New Orleans in a moment. From the streets outside the Superdome, downtown New Orleans, inside, where Memphis and North Texas are about to kick it off, and we're about to welcome the 4th member of our crew on the sidelines for us tonight, Heather Cox.
Dave, thank you. The tale of the Memphis season can be defined by the highs and the lows of 2 games this season. The defining moment of success, an early season win over Ole Miss, one of the biggest games in school history. The low, a surprising loss in the regular season finale to South Florida. So tonight's bowl game gives Memphis a second chance, an opportunity to prove that the South Florida game was a fluke and that this is the same team that beat Ole Miss. They'll do that using North Texas as a mentor or an example of sorts. They want to be the North Texas of last year, the one that upset a highly ranked Cincinnati team, and not the team of 2 years ago that had stars in its eyes and was just happy to be here. Memphis feels that 32 years is an awful long time to wait for a bowl and not come out and play its best football.
Memphis, one of the most improved teams in the country this year, from 3 wins last year to 8-4 this year. 9-3 North Texas can go for 10 wins, just the 3rd time in school history. Memphis has won the toss. They defer. And the Mean Green waiting for the opening kick. Kevin Moore is back deep. Patrick Byrne for the Tigers for the opening kick of the 2003 bowl season. And a nice deep one returned by Ricardo Smith out to the 19. And from there, North Texas will go. with junior quarterback from Schertz, Texas, not too far from San Antonio, Scott Hall, who is simply used to winning 62-5 in junior high school, and North Texas 8-0 starting this year. If he had enough attempts, he would be the 6th rated passer in the country, but North Texas is not about passing. They're about making sure that Patrick Cobbs gets it 25, 30, 35 times a game and eats the clock up. And that's where the contrast makes tonight so interesting, because Memphis wants to strike as quickly as possible. Johnny Quinn went in motion, and not surprisingly, Cobbs on the first play from scrimmage maybe fights for a yard. As we look at the Mean Green starting offense.
Keep your eye on Johnny Quinn. Even though North Texas doesn't throw the ball, Johnny Quinn has 30 catches, but the amazing thing about it, it's over 20 yards a pop, so he does have big play potential.
And on the offensive line, it's a group that really has very little in the way of experience, but they've cleared the way, we said, for the best running back in the country statistically, and they protect Hall pretty well. Only 18 sacks allowed. Hall to the air for the first time. If he finds anybody open, better idea to keep it and dive for the first down at the 30. Now the line for North Texas features only one senior, and that is Nick Zuniga, unanimous third-time selection to the first team All-Sun Belt Conference this year, and his 48th start. That is a school record. Defensive line, Taylor, co-leader, 6 sacks. Albert Means, the nose tackle, probably the best known player up front for the Tigers. Cobbs with a toss sweep and blocked well, and Cobbs with a cutback and trips at midfield. It's 20. It was almost 70.
Cobbs cannot believe it. A perfectly blocked toss sweep. Secondary out of position, not unusual in the Memphis gambling style. And what does the leading back in the nation do? He gets so excited that the little line monster grabs his toe.
And you see right there, Zuniga gets a good hook block, cutting off the defensive lineman enough. And right there, Cobbs has great vision and burst. That's what makes him a great back, is his vision and his burst. At 5'9", he plays like he's 6'4".
So from midfield, Cobbs again on the carry, squeezes out about 7 yards. David McNair on the tackle. The linebackers go from Memphis line up this way.
Will Hayden, former walk-on, leading tackler, 98 tackles on the year. He's the leader. He'll be all over the football field.
They play 5 DBs, more useful against more of a passing attack, but Ballard, Tommy West, says our best player. It's his 39th straight start. And you see just the 3-man front. 8 at least 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, so there's room to toss it out there, and the completion is to Quinn right at the yardage marker for the first down, maybe a foot or so short.
And Dave, and one thing that North Texas is doing, they have to establish in this football game, is they have to win first downs. They can't afford to get in third and long situations. They don't have that quick strike offense, so it's important for Cobbs to get going early, or you hit Johnny Quinn on a little read route and just get put yourself in position to win. Solid yardage on first down. That's what they need.
Cobbs has carried 3 times. They direct snap it to him, and no problem getting to the 35 of Memphis.
And a little trickery from North Texas and Coach Darrell Dickey right off the bat. You see the quarterback walking over as if to call the play. Not a very good snap by Brewster. Put a darn good block.
It looked like
and a surprise, and they did catch Memphis unawares and made an easy first down rather than having to knock people back off the ball.
Well, with all the movement that a Joe Lee Dunn defense is known for, that can be the Achilles heel sometimes, can't it?
It can indeed.
Option, Hall, keeping.
And a gain of about 4 down to the 31-yard line, where Will Hayden, leading tackler for the Tigers, 98 for the year coming in tonight. Former walk-on, big surprise.
Well, and in the defending option, one thing you got to play assignment football and you got to pursue. That time Will Hayden, coming from his middle linebacker, does a good job. It's a speed option. Joe Lee Dunn does not like to play against the option because it's assignment football. He better have his guys play with the philosophy, see ball, get ball. Don't worry about all these assignments. Go ahead and get the football. When you run that option in there, it puts a headache in his brain.
Joe Lee Dunn, most recently from Mississippi State. Give up the middle, and Cobbs hit as soon as the ball arrives, falls forward. One of the best things he does, always seems to fall forward at least for a yard or two. He reaches the 30.
Watch 44, Derek Pollard, coming off the edge. There he is. He came in this direction. No blocker for him, and that's what Joe Lee's answer is for this fierce running game. Coach Dunn's going to bring him off the edges and force North Texas to deal with that extra tackler.
And that brings that 5th and 6th man up on the line of scrimmage. Even though it's a 3-3-5, you can still line up 6 or 7 guys on the line of scrimmage like regular conventional defense.
So Hall in the shotgun and timeout. They'll talk over 3rd and 5.
Formation mistake.
Opening drive of the game, promising so far for North Texas, but they need to pick up 5 from the Memphis 30 when we come back. Well, North Texas actually the first team in the country to secure a bowl bid over a month ago, winning the Sun Belt for the 3rd straight year. 18 straight conference victories. That is the nation's longest win streak in any league. And for the 2nd year in a row, nose tackle Brandon Kennedy named the Sun Belt Player of the Year, even over Patrick Cobbs, which may surprise some. But Kennedy coming into this year a little more established. He has been a mainstay for 4 years in the middle of the North Texas defensive line. 3rd and 5 now after the timeout, and all not going from the gun after the discussion. They keep it on the ground, and Cobbs bottled up at the line. And chased down by the Memphis nose tackle, Albert Means.
In order to be a good defensive lineman, you got to be able to engage the block and disengage the block. And Albert Means is a big boy. He's in there punching about 320. And I like his pursuit. Anybody that can chase a toss sweep down from nose guard position, he's going to be a solid player for you. Right there, Albert Means showed me what it was to play a nose guard by defeating the block and making a tackle.
North Texas will try 47-yarder. Nick Basildua's longest ever, 49. That was earlier this year. Quinn is the holder. And plenty of leg. And good. Basildua won the season finale at the gun at New Mexico State on ESPN2. That was just a 24-yarder. This one almost twice as long in the Mean Green Heavy early league.
He smoked it too. That was good by a long one.
I'll tell you what, we just saw a good indication that what Chris Spielman told us early in the game was absolutely true. North Texas was able to do well on 1st down coming down the field, but when they ended up with 3rd and 6, they didn't have a play. They didn't want to take a chance on throwing it down the field, Chris, and they ended up running the toss sweep and having to settle for the field goal.
Memphis 8-4, 5-3 in Conference USA. The Pasadena Bowl of 71. Last time they played this late in the season. They are missing a major cog tonight. D'Angelo Williams, Conference USA Player of the Year. Running back who picked up over 1,400 yards, a Tiger single season record, but tore his left MCL against Cincinnati November 22nd. They thought maybe he could go. They worked him some in practice this week, but when it was sore after working last Saturday, doctors scratched him. He is not in uniform tonight, and that obviously is a major loss. It would be as if North Texas had to go without Patrick Cobbs.
Dave, I saw him play in the regular season. He's the real deal now. He's a difference maker.
This will be Chris Kelly. Kelly turns in a nice return, and Memphis will take over at their 35-yard line. Knocked down by Taylor Casey. So Danny Wimprine from River Ridge, Louisiana, born right here in New Orleans. Chris said 100 friends and family are here. He's used to playing in the Dome. High school and earlier this year against Tulane. All told, he is 7-2 playing inside the Superdome. And not just a thrower. He has 3 rushing touchdowns. He's had his problems late in the season. And the give on the first play is to Darren White. Strings the defense out, and they have him for a loss of a couple of yards. And the rest of the Memphis offense.
Maurice Avery tore his MCL November 15th in a game against Louisville, and he's back tonight. He's out there with a brace. I watched him in warm-ups, and he really struggled to run. So he was expected to start. I do not see him on the field, but we should see him at some point tonight.
Maurice Avery, a quarterback who moved to wide out in the spring. Also a running threat. He scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. A top receiver. And the man who replaces Williams tonight, Darren Parquette, brought down by the defensive tackle, Evan Cardwell. The offensive line for Memphis, not real big. Only 1 300-pounder starts. That's Jason Matthews. They have 4 juniors. Most of these guys back. In fact, they'll all be back. And they, as a group, allowed only 11 sacks. And as much as they pass, that's impressive. North Texas up front defensively. Kennedy, as we said, 2-time Sun Belt Player of the Year.
He's able to do a lot of things from his no guard position, including getting pressure on the passer.
Wimprine deep on 3rd and 13. Inside the 10 down to the 5 is Darren Garcia, who beat Jeremy Pearl for 63 yards.
Well, one way to get your confidence in your quarterback is go ahead and let him air it out. And if you're 3rd and 13 as a defensive back, you've got to understand that they're going to go for the sticks. You give the underneath route, come up and make the tackle, and they were in a cover 3 zone. That means your deep is the deepest. You don't let anybody get behind you. He got caught in his back pedal too long. The receiver climbed up top of him, and Jeremy Pearl's late. But he does a good job of hustling and saving the touchdown, but he was late getting out of his back pedal. Thus the big play.
Marked them down at the 6 for their 1st and goal, Memphis. And White carries off tackle and tripped up after a gain of just 1. The linebacker core with Hurd, Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. That's a little odd. Kennedy's overall Player of the Year. And in the secondary, Buckles and Jones both first team all Sun Belt this year. Big hitters, linebacker like. After 2 safeties. 2nd and goal from the 5. And Parquette makes it down to the 3 with the flag thrown where you might look for holding.
And you sure don't like to see that if you're the offensive unit. Brandon Kennedy assisting the officials expertly, nodding his head, signaling holding, which he will do frequently, I'm sure. Nose guards love to do that. And I guess they get held every now and then, Chris.
Well, you should know now. You
ask him. You ask him. What percentage?
There's some keys to the game if you want to take a look at for Memphis is they got to make
offense. 10 yards from the previous spot remains 2nd down.
Scott Hall has to beat them throwing. When you have the #1 rusher in the country, you've got to try to eliminate him. I don't want to hear anything about slowing him down. You eliminate his rear end from the game. You make the quarterback beat you, and you need solid play from Danny Wimprine. Right now, he starts fast, which could be a dangerous sign for North Texas.
Kennedy told us he's held 75% of the time. Option pitch, Parquette. At the 7-yard line, upended by Craig Jones, his 2nd straight emphatic tackle.
Yeah, and you could say that about these safeties. Craig Jones and Jonas Buckles during warm-ups. Darrell Dickey was telling us when he goes on the field, people say, are those your safeties? They don't look like safeties.
Yeah,
they're both a little under 6 feet. They look like 215-pound linebackers, and that's how they hit. Boom, right there.
Yeah, I'm not going to let him get away with it, though. He better keep his head up and wrap his arms because a good back will make him miss eventually if he doesn't wrap his arms, Coach.
5 wide, 3rd and goal from the 7. Quarterback draw, Wimprine, touchdown. Beautiful execution and a comeback from a 10-yard penalty. Holding
Nice execution on the option. Chris pointed out the head down tackle. It gave him a couple of extra yards. Now they spread the field. And we'll see what Wimprine sees. And this is what you like when you've got a quarterback draw call. Nobody in a green shirt. They all drop.
Extra point by Steven Gostkowski to make it 7-3 Tigers. The 4th rushing touchdown of the year for Danny Wimprine as they spread out the defense and set him on the quarterback draw right through the middle.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of the 2003 New Orleans Bowl. Brought to you by New Orleans. Discover all that New Orleans has to offer at neworleansonline.com. New Orleans, happening every day. And by Amstel Light, the beer drinker's light beer.
Memphis takes it 6 plays, 66 yards. Well, congratulations. And Danny Wimprine on the quarterback draw makes it 7-3 Tigers.
Do you think he has any idea what he's in for?
None.
That guy? It'll be wonderful, son.
Yeah.
I know my wife's listening.
Patrick Byrne kicks this one way deep, and Kevin Moore. Ricardo Smith finally falls on it for the touchback.
Take a look now. We're going to go to football 101 right here. When you have a great nose guard, you give him a lot of freedom. Right here, Brendan Kenny takes too much freedom. He's going to jump 2 gaps. His responsibility's got to be in the A gap. He jumped all the way to the B gap, thus opening up and creating a huge hole, Coach.
That's right. And when he does that, there should be a compensation, and somebody should be filling here or from here. And there was a missed assignment both by the nose and by a linebacker, and that made it way too easy for Memphis to walk in.
Cody Spencer dropped out for pass because he read the pass and it was a quarterback draw, not having time to get back to cover his responsibility on run.
North Texas, second possession. And Cobbs finds a crowd waiting for him at the line of scrimmage. Send it down to Heather.
Dave, bad news for a very weak running back position already from Memphis. Darren Parquette suffered a stinger on that last possession. They are testing him right now. They don't know yet whether or not they'll go back in. During that timeout, the entire group of running backs came over to convince him that he was okay. Of course, led by D'Angelo Williams, who's out with that knee injury, guys.
Is that going to work?
Yeah, it's a pinched nerve. Nothing works unless the doctor clears him to go back in. He has to have strength in his shoulder.
7-10 with North Texas hopes to avoid
Wide open, underthrown Andy Blunt.
He turned, the ball was 5 yards behind him.
Now they get away too here, guys, with a pick play. Right here, Johnny Quinn will knock off the coverage. It's man coverage, and they're going to bring Blunt out on an out and up, and Johnny Quinn's going to come into your picture. He'll knock off the coverage, leaving Blunt wide open. Blunt doesn't see the football and doesn't make an adjustment on it. If he catches it, he's off into the paint. He's not in the paint. Here you go. Take a look. Watch Johnny Quinn will come into your picture right here. He's going to take away the coverage right there. He's going to pick. Bam, that's a beautiful play, and Blunt's got to be aware of the football now. He's a freshman. He might be excited with his first bowl game. He wanted to get to the paint. He couldn't make the adjustment on the football.
Near misses. And the mean green going to Coney will be short of the first down at the 28-yard line. First possession, Cobbs trips on what looked like a 70-yard touchdown run at midfield. They settled for 3. Second possession, Blunt 20 yards behind the nearest defender. Can't find the ball, and North Texas will have to punt.
Now, tremendous advantage for North Texas if numbers hold based on season performance. The net punting for North Texas is 38.8 as opposed to a little over 32 for Memphis. Much stronger in special teams generally.
And Cadlebar forcing Cole Hoppy to go for the fair catch at the 37.
Now let me just complete that thought. What that means is over half a first down on every punt exchange if these two teams remain true to form in the kicking game.
So the Tigers with a 7-3 lead without their top rusher, Conference USA Player of the Year, who will have a chat with Heather when we come back to New Orleans. Memphis 7, North Texas 3. The Tigers with a 63-yard pass to Darren Garcia, their first possession, to set up the touchdown run on the quarterback draw by Danny Wimprine. North Texas has had 2 near-miss golden touchdown chances. Produce only 3 points and a punt so far. The Tigers take over at their 37.
Now Parquette's back in there. Let's see if that shoulder's bothering him. See if he starts running on eggs. Or is he going to be hitting it up in there with a purpose?
Trying right away. And he'll get just a couple. Brought down by Evan Cardwell.
He didn't look bashful to me.
Well, let's send it down to Heather.
Joined by Conference USA Player of the Year, D'Angelo Williams. I know how hard this is for you to be sitting out. Torn MCL. How is the knee? When do you think you'll get back to action?
Well, I'm not quite sure when I'll be back, but I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to play in this game because I was really pushing to play in this game, and it kind of hurt me a little bit. But Dan Parquette comforted me, and he said he's going to tote the mail, and hopefully we can come up with a W.
I know the hardest thing to do when you're used to playing is to be on the sideline, but what kind of advice were you able to give Darren and the other running backs, and how can you help your team on the sideline?
Well, Darren was a little nervous coming out because it's such a big game, and he's nervous. He's starting, and I was giving him some pointers on how to hold the ball and things like that. But I'm pretty confident that he's going to get the job done. We had a prayer before we came out. We talked amongst one another. I mean, it was strictly confidential, and hopefully he get it done.
All right. Congratulations on an incredible season. We wish you a quick recovery.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're not just missing his running, but he is their second leading receiver. We showed you he is the nation's leader, 192 all-purpose yards per game. 50 Turner 2. LaKendis Cole on a first down at the 49-yard line as he carries for the second straight time and brought down by Cody Spencer.
You know, we talked to Randy Fichtner, the offensive coordinator, and when Danny Wimprine gets in trouble, it's when he starts trying to make things happen. Right there, they had a 3rd and 8. They go with the swing pass. And Danny told me yesterday it's his job to get the ball into playmakers' hands. And right there, he got into a playmaker hand. Give him the ball, let him run and do some damage. Excellent read by Danny. They get the first down to keep the drive alive.
And so far, so good on the ball handling. Parquette and Cole have had problems hanging on to the football. Both of them have been turnover prone. Parquette fumbled twice in their last game against USF.
Wimprine running complete. Ryan Scott with his 15th catch of the year. Well, Thursday night bowl season continues here on ESPN2. Ben Roethlisberger, if you haven't seen him, check him out. He's led Miami of Ohio to the MAC championship. Now the Red Hawks beat the Louisville Cardinals in the GMAC Bowl. That's Thursday at 7:30 Eastern from Mobile here on ESPN2.
Oh, he's a boy dog warrior now. I'm telling you, he can play.
Gain of 8 on the catch by Scott. 2nd down and 2. And Cole brought down a yard shy of the mark. Conference USA in the postseason with Memphis here, Louisville in a couple of nights. And then what a matchup for the first ever Plains Capital Fort Worth Bowl. Number 19 TCU, number 16 Boise State. 1 loss each. Sheraton Hawaii Bowl will be there for Houston, Hawaii. AXA Liberty Bowl will be there for Southern Miss, Utah.
You and I saw Boise there for real.
3rd and 1. Look for the pass from White, and he can't air it out this time too much. Overthrows Mario Pratchett.
Now, Chris, a boy dog warrior. Let's define our terms, because I'm too much older than you to get a handle on it. A boy dog warrior. How do I get to be one of those?
You were one, Coach.
Oh, okay.
You were one. Anybody that plays hard loves
Thank you.
football. And again, Darren White, we were told, was going to throw a pass before the game. They tried to hit it, but North Texas was solid in that. And a boy dog warrior like Darren White can throw the ball.
Going for it on 4th and 1. Nope, Wimprine, who tries the quick kick, gets too much on this one.
He did it left-footed. He's, how do you say ambidextrous when it's a left-footed and right-handed?
He can kick left-footed or right-footed. So still 7-3 Tigers. Now late first quarter in the Superdome. Boy, they just go together, don't they? The streetcars and downtown New Orleans.
That's the first one I've seen.
They need to bring them all back. Yeah. This needs to be San Francisco South. It used to be.
I think it is. You see that hat on that guy?
What are you implying?
San Francisco South. How hard is that?
North Texas after the quick kick by Wimprine.
All rolling. Rolling deep and went into double coverage for Joel Nwigwe. He had Johnny Quinn wide open if he had swung that pass about 10 yards to the left.
And whenever you try to get a team to loosen up their defense, you go ahead and wing it downfield. Scotty had a little tough read right here. It's going to be, the ball's going to be thrown into double coverage right at that point. And there's Johnny Quinn, as Dave pointed out, wide open. But the safeties do a good job of breaking on the quarterback's eyes, reading the arm angle, and going up to the highest point to take it down.
You can already tell when North Texas passes, they don't mess around with the dinks and the dunks. They go deep.
This time the cross route. Again, a crowd waiting for Cobbs.
And the last couple of series, that's what we've seen. Derek Ballard, the senior cat safety, they called their best player up for this side.
This is what you can expect to see from a Joe Lee Dunn defense. Here comes Ballard. He's coming. He lines up about 3 or 4 yards deep, but his responsibility is the D gap, the outside gap, and he is not going to let you make that corner. And there's no blocker for him.
They tried to block him. He got lower than
a
blocker.
No blocker that got there.
Cobbs 34 yards his first 4 carries, his last 4 0. And forced to throw, needing 12, overthrown. This time Jamel Branch was wide open. And Chris, Memphis successfully right now making Scott Hall beat him, and he's not been able to do
That's in the game plan, Dave, and you take away Cobbs, and it's tough hauling for North Texas. They're not used to throwing the ball because he had Branch on a skinny post right where he wanted him. He's got to throw the strike. He sailed one.
At least 3 wide open targets.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to hit many. And just 2 of 5 for 10 yards. Hoppy back deep. This punt by Cadlebar, fair caught at the 47. Thursday night, ESPN has the exclusive announcement of the 2004 NFL Pro Bowl starters on a special edition of NFL Live at 7 Eastern. The NFL Live Pro Bowl Selection Show presented by Sears on ESPN. How many Pro Bowls combined do we have here in this booth?
I don't know, but I got a funny feeling it's going to be like a Mike Golick, Reggie White sack total.
What's that?
He said, well, we had 220 between us. And I said, how many did Reggie have? He said, well, 209. So I don't know how. I was in 2. How many you?
I was in 4, Coach.
You were in 4. So we had 6 between
Counting
us.
me, that's 6.
That's 6 between the 3 of us.
Mike took all those double teams for Reggie.
That's what he
The
said.
shotgun, Wimprine barely able to handle the nose slap and will lose a couple of yards. And very lucky he didn't lose the ball entirely.
He and Frederick had the very same problems in warm-ups. A low snap, and a lot of quarterbacks just gobble those up, but Wimprine does not. He does not easily handle a poor snap. That was not only low, but it was off to the left. And all I can say about gun snaps is that I'm glad I played before the days of the gun. Because that's really tough for a center to be 100% consistent.
What about that single wing snap? Did you play in those days?
No, I missed that too.
All right.
2nd and 12. Shotgun draw to Kendis Cole, and he gets past the first wall and about 4 yards out near midfield. All the way to the secondary, the free safety, Jonas Buckles makes the tackle.
Anytime North Texas plays run defense, so they're going to bring pressure, they're going to do it off a zone. They're not comfortable throwing it out of man. That time Chris Hurd came wide open, and Cole did a good job of just getting what he got because Hurd had a shot of him in the sights in the backfield, left his feet, and didn't get it.
That's right. Broke a tackle.
North Texas defense 17th in the country against the run. He played Oklahoma, Arkansas, Air Force in addition to the Sun Belt. Wimprine well protected, gunning deep, man open off the hand of Garcia, and here comes a late flag. Jeremy Pearl twice having his problems trying to keep up with Garcia. Got a 63-yarder on the first Memphis possession to set up their score.
Now, as Chris said, North Texas is going to try to stay in zone, but when you are even Steven with the receiver, somebody eventually has to play man, and Pearl has to play the man and the football here, and you can't grab him by the back of his head and turn his head with the right hand.
Yeah, he's
without getting called. That's what the call is for. The left hand is fine.
And his body position too, Coach. He's got to be on the inside part of that receiver because the safety, only one safety deep. He's got to be on the inside, make the sideline his friend. And that time he let that receiver Garcia inside, wasn't in great position to make a play on the ball.
Well, Texas will rack up some penalty yards. Tries to be in business. They say swing pass to right. And a nice move at the 30 and dives ahead for another couple of yards.
Well, they average 89 yards in penalties a game, and that's far too much. But they did not seem concerned, Dave. As you pointed out, they are aggressive, and they say they play in a league that is not particularly aggressive, and the officials are going to call them a lot. They'll handle those aggressive fouls. They don't like the 5-yarders and stop drives.
Well, they say they coach them to go to the whistle, and a lot of times the hit will happen before they hear a whistle, and they'll be called for a late hit. That hasn't happened yet.
See Danny Wimprine getting a play from the sidelines. There, the coaches are reading the defense and audibilizing the call for him.
The play clock is not running. So referee recognizing that. This is a Big East officiating crew tonight. Also the end of the quarter. So 15 minutes done in the Superdome, and Tommy West Memphis Tigers with a 7-3 lead in the New Orleans Bowl. Like we said, when you've waited 32 years to get to a bowl.
I mean, that is blue. That's not the group. That's just blue.
As blue as the group. We start the second quarter with a 2nd and 2 for Memphis, leading 7-3. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Chris Spielman, and Heather Cox.
There ought to be some little green men running around here then. Like you, Dave.
Probably are. Toss sweep Cole. Knocked down, but not until he gets the first down at the 25-yard line. Hit there by Markeith Knowlton. You may see more of Knowlton now that Jeremy Pearl has been burned by Garcia a couple times. For ESPN 2 Game Track. After hitting Garcia for 63 yards, Wimprine on the quarterback draw, his 4th score of the season. Cobbs 34, and 20 of that almost turned into 70, but he tripped at midfield, and North Texas on their first possession had to settle for 3. Sure enough, I knew they'd be here.
That's the Barnett family. They're here.
25-yard line, Tigers. And whistles before they can get on track.
I guess there may be viewers that don't know this, but Dave Barnett is a graduate of North Texas.
Get ball, 4-star, offense.
Well,
5 yards, remains first down.
In the interest of full disclosure, very well. It's out there.
And Heather will have more on that later.
Just treated Dave sang the alma mater for me when the band was playing before the game, which was a nice touch.
It was moving.
If you don't behave, I'll do it again.
We'll behave.
Daryl Dickey a couple of years ago was literally down to his last week. He had lost the first game of the 2001 Sun Belt season. And had he lost against Middle Tennessee State, there might not have been another game. Cole on the carry. But he said, he told his team, look, everybody is against us. We got 100 players, we got 10 coaches, and that's it. You guys don't worry about me. Play for yourselves. Said they had the best week of practice in his coaching career, and they upset Middle Tennessee State and have not lost a conference game since. 18 straight, 3rd straight Sun Belt win. It's one of the amazing stories leaping out of a coaching graveyard.
And it's what you can do with a great positive attitude and sticking to your business.
So he recruited character first, and character helped North Texas out of that ditch. A middle screen look, and Kennedy dropping back in pass coverage to make the stop on the tight end, John Doucette.
Well, he really didn't drop back into pass coverage, Dave. He just didn't have any pass rush. When he gets tired, this is what he does, but he can be a factor. Watch him right here. He's gonna take the snap and watch him come off the ball. Here he comes. He's not really pass rushing. He's kind of reading the quarterback, and he's able to play the check down receiver, and he moves very well for a big fella at 320. He can break on the football and give you that type of effort and take away the check down. But don't forget, you're going to have time to throw the ball because he's not pass rushing.
Timeout Tigers. They discuss a 3rd and 6 early in the second quarter, trying to add to a 7-3 lead. 3rd and 6 now for the Tigers. Line to gain 15 of North Texas. They've had a timeout to discuss it. Darren Parkett with a bruised shoulder will be evaluated at the half, and so LaKendis Cole continues to be the running back with Wimprine keeping out of the shotgun and tripped up before he can get going. Michael Pruitt, junior out of El Reno, Oklahoma, saves the 3rd down for the North Texas defense.
This is a play that the quarterback's got to make. Wimprine's got to be able to outrun a 5 technique in a 3-man line, and he doesn't do it this time. Pruitt, who doesn't match him athletically or speed-wise, runs him down and gets a hold of that ankle.
Stephen Gostkowski now throwing a 41-yarder, and off the right, upright, and no good.
In the warm-ups, Gostkowski struggled hooking the ball to his left from the right hash mark. Obviously overcompensated, probably thinking about his warm-up, so he's, I got to start this well to the right. And he started about 6 inches too far.
It's a big stop for North Texas defense.
Stephen Gostkowski on a baseball scholarship. Heather has some more on him.
Well, what makes it so unique is that he's a kicker and a pitcher, a very rare combo, and also the fact that both of his coaches were dual sport athletes, so they get it. Tommy West was a tight end and an outfielder in the mid-70s at Tennessee, and his baseball coach, Dave Anderson, was signed by the Tigers to play quarterback, but then played professional baseball, so they truly understand the demands on Stephen's time.
One of the better runs the last 3 series for Cobbs. Gostkowski benefits from the fact that Tommy West was a 2nd-round pick by the Cubs out of high school. So not every coach, Bill, is as open-minded as Tommy West is for a guy who needs to split himself.
He can afford to do that, Dave, with a kicker. Now, what's he going to do in spring ball? You know, the only thing he's going to hit during spring practice is the showers.
You can work it out.
This is Jamel Branch, and the wideout will have a 1st down for the Mean Green at the 35. Tackled there by Eric Taylor. So Branch helping out Cobb's cause in the running game. 39 yards on 9 carries for Cobbs. And Branch, who rushed 15 times through the regular season, gets the 1st down for the Mean Green. In motion. After the give to Cobbs, and had a little room there, but tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Let's again check in down below with Heather.
Well, I'm now joined by Ron Maestri, the executive director of the New Orleans Bowl. And Ron, congratulations in just the 3rd year. Tremendous success and tremendous growth for the New Orleans Bowl.
Well, we're real proud of this game. This is 2 great schools, and the crowd that they have brought, the show to progress that we've made in 3 years is very exciting.
You know, I talked to a lot of the players yesterday. They all said this is their Sugar Bowl, the only game in town. But publicly, how are you able to use the synergy created by the Sugar Bowl being in the same city?
Well, the kids think it's a national championship. You can't tell them any different, but we're proud of the Sugar Bowl. We've got a national championship game here before Christmas. We've got all these fans in, great economic impact. We're just thrilled to be a part of this to complement the Sugar Bowl compliments us. So these kids are playing for their national championship, and I know they're proud of it.
Ron, thanks so much. Continued success to you.
Thank you, Heather.
Well, about as razzle-dazzle as you'll see North Texas go on the reverse. Branch took over the 38, and now 3rd down and 7. And this is where they have bogged down on passing downs. They don't even try to go to the air this time, and Cobbs barely past the line of scrimmage.
See, I got a little bit of concern now if you're a North Texas fan, because you're resulting and you're going to trick plays to try to get something going on the ground. You wanted to get Cobbs on 3rd and 7. Memphis understands what North Texas is going to do. They're taking Cobbs out of the game. Just like Joe Lee told us, they're going to make Scott Hall beat them. But when you go to trickeration, as Reese Davis likes to say, it's not going to work very often. Too well coached a football team on the defensive side for the Tigers.
Brad Cadlebar Second team all Sun Belt for the second time this year. Kicking to Hopping. Another fair catch, this one at the 24. And a 37-yarder. 9:16 to go. Second quarter. Memphis 7. North Texas 2003 New Orleans Bowl.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of the 2003 New Orleans Bowl. Brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And by the most respected, honored, and heroic 4x4s out there. Only in a Jeep 4x4.
First game of the bowl season. The New Orleans Bowl in the Superdome. 7-3 Memphis. 9:16 in the second quarter with Bill Curry, Chris Spielman, Dave Barnett. Field position we knew would be important coming in. We thought it might favor North Texas.
North Texas is a field position ball security football team. We'll come back after this play and finish this point.
Wimprine 6 for 6. Darren White with the catch at a gain of 6.
Okay. Their average starting field position so far in this game is the 21-yard line, Chris, whereas Memphis has been starting on the average of the 36-yard line several times around midfield. North Texas is lucky that Memphis is not farther ahead.
Yeah, on the North Texas side, Dave, we talked about, Coach, that they have to be successful on first down if they want to win this football game. They wore in the first series, the last 4 series, they had the football 1 yard on first down. That's going to be a tough haul for them if they want to get it going.
They'll have a third and short coming. After the carry by LaKendis Cole, doing most of the running with Darren Parquette sitting out with a bruised shoulder. And again, they'll check him at the half and decide at that point whether he'll be able to go in the second half. Already without league's leading rusher, D'Angelo Williams, with a left MCL injury. Wimprine perfect so far. Cole upended at the 40. Fake the reverse to White. It was Craig Jones who got him after a first down gain.
You're starting to see now as North Texas defense is dragging a little bit because of the no-huddle offense by Memphis. Memphis is setting the tempo for him right there. You see Parquette with the ice bag on the shoulder. He wants to be a part of it. Sproles says, give me the ball. It's my shot now.
Yeah, and they're slow getting lined up, Chris. You're absolutely right. Just a little dragging on the green shirt.
Wimprine rolling in, caught by Maurice Avery. And they hook up for the first time for 10 yards. Avery coming off basically the same injury that Williams had. He missed the final 2 games of the regular season. Their leading receiver, 46 on the year. Parquette forced to watch, but they're doing all right without him. They're at midfield, another first down.
Well, it's remarkable that he's out there. You can play with a torn MCL, obviously, and he had an extra week over Williams to get his ready.
One by one, Tigers getting all the available weapons into the act. Cole this time dropped for a loss of 4. Tracked down by Cody Spencer and Markeith Knowlton.
Darren Parquette was going to have a big night tonight. In order for him to do that, he had to stay healthy. Take a look at how he hurt his shoulder. So right here on the toss sweep, you see Jones come up and gives him a shot with his helmet right on the top of the shoulder. And people think those shoulder pads will protect you all the time. All the time they don't, because if you get one direct on there, oftentimes it'll go right through the pad like a spike.
Personal fouls, offense and defense. Second down.
Brandon Kennedy that time got into a little pushing and shoving contest with Avery. And if I were Avery, I think I'd walk away from that 300-pound dude. And offsetting penalties. Good job by the officials to keep this thing in control. A well-played game. No turnovers so far and not many penalties.
The big Avery, go ahead. He took a shot.
Yeah, you got to take your shots.
Yeah, I want a shot at the title, big man.
About a 100-pound advantage there on Avery. Brought by Cole. And another late flag. Cole back to the original line of scrimmage midfield.
Yeah, see, they made the big fella a little angry right there, and the big fella decided to penetrate, and the only way to stop that penetration was to hold him. Gene Frederick. Take a look.
If you're an offensive center, especially, but if you're a guard either, this is a nightmare. The guy's about 4 feet tall. He weighs 1,000 pounds, and he hits the gap like he's shot out of a cannon. Now, that was really a pretty darn good block, and I'm not sure where the holding was.
Well, you see that his shoulder pad was cocked up by his ear, Coach. That's a pretty good indication that
was the open hand up underneath the pad. That's now legal in today's football.
All right, I got you.
That wasn't allowed when you and I were playing. Well, there goes his shoulder up, cocked, and he did have a hold of the cloth.
That's legal, though. His hands were inside.
Yeah, they were inside.
Wimprine almost slips. Heave on 2nd and 24. Starts to wobble. They still get the ball down to Pratcher inside the 15. 51 yards.
It was a duck with a prayer. But Pratcher made it count. A heck of a job by the big receiver to come down with the football, and Walter Priestley victimized, and this happens so many times. And you see the back is not fooled. It was a little hitch and go. We're in perfect position right now, both of us. Wide receiver, DB, wide receiver stops, DB keeps running. Long gainer.
Aaron White slips as he tries to cut back. Still gets about 4 down to the 10, and Kennedy sitting this series out.
You know, the difference is you got to be able to make an adjustment on the ball. Pratcher made the adjustment on the ball. Priestley did not make the adjustment on the football.
This is a almost brand new surface Astroplay just installed last month, right in the middle of the New Orleans Saints season. And we've seen a lot of slippage. Not that that should be an excuse for either. It's a state-of-the-art surface. And from the 10, first man through Cole and bottled up.
Now, this is kind of interesting. If we could take a look at this formation. I just want to show the formation. This is a bone. This is a bona fide wishbone. Full house, 3 across backfield, and we're running old school football plays out of it. They have a little crossbuck they tried at the other end. Now look at that. That's just plain old wishbone football. Now the backs are not up in the 3-point stances or 4-point stances as you so often see, but a little misdirection and hand it to the fullback. A lot of stuff in the Memphis offense.
Back to the gun. 3rd down roll, Wimprine. To the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Chris Kelly. And Wimprine is 10 for 10. And has now scored a touchdown and thrown for a touchdown.
Well, he must have heard Coach Spielman.
Yeah, well, what they're doing, Coach and Dave, is that they found Jeremy Pearl. And if you're a corner, you better have a short memory. And Jeremy right now has been frustrated. And they get Danny Wimprine out on the perimeter. They have no contain, nobody forcing the throw. He gets his shoulders turned, makes a good athletic move. Kelly runs a great route, takes it into the corner, pushes out. Easy catch. Pitch and catch for Danny.
Guskowski, PAT 14-3 Memphis. Kelly, a transfer from Northeast Mississippi Community College. Wimprine right between the 1 and the 2.
There's Coach Fiegner talking to his quarterback, Danny Wimprine, and he's talking a lot of good things. Now he's 10 for 10, 162. When Danny gets crazy and makes some bad decisions, you know what he does? He hangs up on him. But this is a long conversation. This is going to be a high bill. They've been talking all the time. When Danny's not performing well, Coach Fiegner will just hang the phone up and say, hey, you're crazy, and bam, shut it down.
Well, there's a lot of love right now.
Oh, yeah. 10 for 10. Everybody's
That's
good.
Fun.
Everybody's good.
Let's talk about some more plays.
What is there to say other than good job?
I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't even talk to him.
And what you say is don't screw it up. He's having a career day.
In front of 100 friends and family, the native of New Orleans, responsible for the 14-3 Tiger lead. And again, nothing. Well, they're going to bring this out. This is almost never a good idea. And the ball loose inside the 10. And recovered by Memphis. In this case, a disastrous idea.
Daring special teams play by North Texas is not unusual. but this result certainly is, and it's the first turnover of the game. He brought this from 7 yards deep in the end zone. When you do that, you need to get it past the 20-yard line so you can go back to the bench and face your coaches. O.C. Collins on the hit, and it was a big hit.
And Cato Mott on the recovery of the fumble by Kevin Moore. So you got an 8-yard field, and you're already up 14-3. And your quarterback is literally perfect. Reverse field by Avery, and that will net him a loss of a couple. Avery, a very dangerous running threat as well. 22 carries and 3 touchdowns during the regular year.
Well, this field position is where Memphis likes to use their misdirection and their little weird plays. North Texas obviously knew that, and they had people up the field and in position to guard the backside.
Well, turnovers are a major part of every football game, and the main reason for North Texas is +10 on a year. Memphis at 8-4 with -4 on a year, but they're winning the battle tonight. If they do that, they're going to be in shape.
Quarterback draws, already worked once for a touchdown. Wilkline gets it down near the 3, and it'll be 3rd and goal from there.
The one way a quarterback draw can work, and if you break through the initial surge, is you have receivers block downfield. Now I want you to watch a guy that's hungry because he hasn't played in a while, is Avery. He's going to come in here and see right here, look at him. He gets his hands inside. He's pushing Jones. Jones isn't getting rid of the block. There's Avery, a receiver blocking downfield. That's a beautiful sight to see. I had a great coach, Marv Levy, a Hall of Fame coach, started every meeting with receivers need to block downfield to make big plays happen. And that's Ray Maurice did a great job of getting downfield. Put a helmet on somebody. It's good to see a receiver put a helmet. I'm glad he's not looking for that cell phone under the goalpost that Joe Horn left under there.
No, I already left a message for Joe before the game.
Tigers' second timeout Thursday night. More bowl action here on ESPN2. As Ben Roethlisberger and Miami of Ohio, MAC champions, take on Louisville in the GMAC Bowl. 7:30 Eastern from Mobile. They do a Mardi Gras parade down in Mobile. Thought they only did that kind of thing here in New Orleans, but they import that a little bit east. Had a good time getting set for that game. I guess that will be tomorrow night, parade night, and then game night Thursday.
I had a good friend, roommate at Detroit from LSU. They have a Mardi Gras in Tupelo, Louisiana. That's a different world down there.
9-3 Cardinals, tied with Memphis, 3rd behind Southern Miss and TCU in Conference USA this year. So they are discussing 3rd and goal just inside the 4.
See right here, Danny Wimprine is going to take a shot. Man. That's good flexibility right there by Taylor Casey now.
It looked like to me he delivered a shot.
Yeah. That's that linebacker gig coming in to help.
Exactly. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, they're fixing his helmet. He's got to get his helmet fixed.
Well, it may have been the cause for the timeout. So 3rd and goal. And another roll by Wimprine. This time no obvious targets, and his first incompletion. He had hit his first 10 passes. Brandon Kennedy chases him all the way to the sideline this time.
That looks like a Warren Sapp, Brett Favre duel going on right there.
And it was an intentional incompletion. He just threw it away.
Yeah. There you go. If Danny Wimprine, like he throws the ball away, the coach says he's making good decisions. They know he's playing well. It was a good read by Kennedy. He saw the pulling guard, Butler. He didn't go for the fake. He went with the pulling guard, forced the throw.
Even if Gostkowski hits here, it's a victory for the Mean Green defense. After the fumble on the 8th, they make Memphis settle for 3.
Good point, David. Good point.
After banging one off the upright, Gostkowski, sophomore from Madison, Mississippi, connects here, and it's 17-3 Memphis. 3:39 to go in the half. All over the streets of downtown. The blue of Memphis has been more than evident. They've really gotten into this. Maybe we'll have more.
Back inside the Superdome, Memphis with a 14-point lead. And this is a Memphis crowd that loves its football. And they have waited a long 32 years for this bowl appearance. And Memphis has suddenly become a town that loves and supports all of its sports teams. You're looking at Beale Street. 6 straight wins. And the Tennessee Titans, who of course spent the first 2 years in Memphis, are enjoying a 10-4 season. We'll have more after this kick, Dave.
New arena about to open up just behind Beale Street. What's going on there? Patrick Byrne drives this one low and does a favor to Kevin Moore. He doesn't have to decide to bring it out 9 yards deep. Fumbled at the 8 this time, brings it out to the 25 here. And as we get close to the half, let's find out what Chris Fowler has in store for us.
Well, Dave, it's the Dodge halftime report. Trevor Mark alongside. We'll visit live with Ben Roethlisberger. Miami, Ohio is set to battle Louisville in a shootout in the GMAC Bowl in a couple days. These guys bowl season beauties. We'll explain, and we'll talk about the unprecedented success of the Sooner football team. Good stuff.
And, you know, we'll talk, too, guys, about the situation in Nebraska playing in the Alamo Bowl. The players upset in Lincoln.
Coming up at halftime.
Boise State's Ryan Didway, big game against TCU.
On the roll, Hall, and a great catch by Quinn, the redshirt freshman, for 21 yards. That's right about his average.
Yeah.
He is an excellent deep threat.
First of all, it's a great throw, too, by Scotty Hall, who seems to me he's more comfortable throwing on the run. And Quinn's coming from the back side of the field. Vogel's in good position, but there's Quinn going up and catching at the highest point with his hands. He doesn't drop a ball. In fact, North Texas coaches said they haven't seen him drop one yet since he's been on campus.
Not at all. Even practice, they said. So a much-needed first down. Anything at all welcome offensively right now from Mean Green. Hobbs has had this to deal with since the very first possession. Maybe a yard or two here. Let's go back down to get ahead.
Dave, as I was saying, Memphis, a proud team. Both its men's and women's basketball teams have combined for a 10-4 start on the collegiate season. And the Grizzlies, of course, 13-9 so far. The Tennessee Titans enjoying a 10-4 season. And in fact, tonight, the Grizzlies game against the Kings, the Grizzlies are actually showing this game on their scoreboard periodically throughout the night. That is how fired up this town is for Memphis football.
The ultimate compliment. You just have to stick your head out anywhere downtown New Orleans, find out how excited they are. Ball is sacked at the 38-yard line. Safety blitz, and Derek Ballard gets to it.
This is the kind of thing the quarterback is responsible for. He had a back, Cobbs, to protect him to his left. To his backside, here comes the safety. He knows that this is a big part of the plan. Ballard actually slipped, and it made it more dangerous. It could have been a cartilage tackle or an ankle tackle, an injury. Fortunately, the quarterback's okay, but he was simply outthought that time. Hall's got to see those things coming and have an answer.
They need to isolate on Derek now. They haven't picked him up on a blitz yet. That's 3 times he's blitzed, 3 times he's made a play.
Second time out here just ahead of the expiration of the play clock. And a 3rd and 18 to discuss. I would imagine Darrell Dickey's going to defer to his young offensive coordinator, Ramon Flanagan. Here. Right? It's all yours, Ramon. Have at it. Youngest coordinator in the country at 28. Dickey was 28 when he was offensive coordinator at Memphis not that long ago. We got Thursday night, ESPN with the exclusive announcement of the 2004 NFL Pro Bowl starters on a special edition of NFL Live at 7 Eastern. The NFL Live Pro Bowl Selection Show presented by Sears. Ramon Flanagan, former quarterback at SMU. Dickey coached him at SMU just before he was hired by North Texas. A really interesting, entertaining personality.
You see, you could tell he's a young coordinator because he's standing up. Now you see those coaches have been around a while. You don't see too many of those coordinators standing up in the box.
Those old guys are sitting there. They've got a chili dog, and they got a popsicle out of the press room, and they got all their charts spread out there. Ramon's doing it right out of his head, and he knows what he's doing. He's got a tough job from this point on. Very tough.
I think you run the ball, use up the clock, and force Memphis to use their timeout to eliminate them from good field position. Trust your punting game.
Tigers ready to tee off. Line to gain, 44 Memphis. They are all over Hall, and and he barely gets off the pass intended for Cobbs.
My point exactly. I think you need to run the ball. Right there, they try to get Cobbs involved in a short passing game with a screen. But what it does now, it stops the clock, and it allows Memphis to get the ball with one timeout. And a dangerous hot quarterback in Danny Wimprine. It's a play-action, throwback screen. But when you have a Joe Lee Dunn blitzing defense and you haven't blocked him yet, it's tough to get any pass off, including a screen. Ramon's looking for something now. Come on, baby, throw me the ball.
Cadlebar to punt. Memphis will have plenty of time to add to this lead, and Hoppy again with the fair catch. They're going to have 82 yards to go, though, in a minute 30. Best punt yet by Cadlebar, 44 yards. 90 seconds to go in the first half. A Memphis dominated half.
There you go. He got him with the rook.
Well, it's not checkmate yet for the Tigers, but the strategizing so far has definitely favored them.
My dad bought me one of those when I was a kid, and they all turned into football guys. Believe it or not, Dave. Can you imagine that?
War Dog Warrior. Boy Dog Warriors.
They're all Boy Dog Warriors.
Cole as they go as conservative as possible in the first play. Brandon Kennedy, another stop.
We talked about this yards after catch, and Memphis makes a living on yards after catch. Their guys do a nice transition of catching the ball, turning into running backs. They got 62. North Texas, when they have completed the pass, have gotten nowhere. And I'm a little surprised at that call right there. You got a hot quarterback, and I realize you're backed up. But it's the bowl game. You're up 14. Go for the jugular, man. Use your timeout and start winging it downfield. That goes against old school coaching, I know, but let's play.
Old school coach is going to go in with this lead, he hopes.
Draw play after a loss of 2. And Cole gets to the 20 before Cody Spencer and Chris Hurd finish him off. And the clock will stop at 44 seconds.
Well, the reason I do that now, North Texas can force them to punt the football. You got a long snap that could be fumbled. You got a punt block, which Cobbs and Quinn will come up for the punt block for North Texas. They've blocked a lot of kicks. I say ride that hot hand, man. Let Danny get back there and wing it. He hasn't missed yet.
Yeah, well, that's a very good idea, especially since you haven't stood over there and coached before.
Well, no, I haven't, Coach, but I've been out on that field. It's 17-3. You go for that jugular, man. That's
63 right there. First possession to Garcia. He finished it off on the quarterback draw. 4th rushing touchdown of the year. Hit his first 10 after score by Kelly. And then on a throwaway before they settle for the field goal. That's his only incompletion. Wimprine is 10 of 11, 162 yards.
Coach Midget League Soccer.
What Tommy West would say is going for the jugular means to get in the locker room at 17-3. Because if I'm coaching Memphis, I don't think these guys can come back on me. Now, Darrell Dickey has got a plan to have a way to come back. He's had receivers running wide open down the field, so we'll see some of those routes again in the second half. I'm just giving you what Tommy West would say to your critique.
Well, Dickey uses his last timeout and hopes they can stop him on 3rd and 8. Real conservative. Cross street Cole tries to reverse field and does not quite get back to the line of scrimmage. Greg Jones up for run support and strong safety. And now he can only watch the clock tick down. Having called that timeout with 44 seconds.
I hate to keep going back to that point, but I know it's conventional wisdom to hold the ball, protect that. But I think in a game like this and the offense that you have, take a shot. But they decide not to.
Not going to have to kick it. And so seconds will tick off on the first half here in the New Orleans Bowl in the Superdome, where North Texas scored on its first possession, then saw the Tigers run off 17 unanswered. Outgaining the Mean Green 208-86 here at the half. And holding the nation's leading rusher, Patrick Cobbs, to 42 yards. And let's go down below to Heather with Tommy West.
Coach, this is a team that has thrived on its running game all season long, yet you find yourself without your top 2 backs How do you change your coaching in the second half to accommodate that?
Well, we've got LaKendis Cole in there, our third team back, and he's just got to play well. He just protect the ball right now. Our defense is playing really well, so we'll just protect the ball. We'll be fine.
Coach, you told me that you wanted to be North Texas of a year ago, a very focused team. After 32 years, how do you keep this team focused throughout the second half with this lead?
Well, I think this team's very focused right now, and I love the way they came out to play. So, he's got to keep doing the same things.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Yeah, they've not done a whole lot of celebrating. They've just done a whole lot of dominating so far in their first bowl since '71. 17-3 now to Chris and the Dodge halftime report. Well, Dave, thank you. Trev Alberts, Mark May alongside. Welcome to our Dodge halftime report. Memphis' first bowl game in 32 years. Looks like they're having no trouble focusing down there in New Orleans. A good first half.
Well, their Memphis' defense is what's impressing me, guys. Joe Lee Dunn, the defensive coordinator, employs that 3-3-5 defense, completely confusing North Texas in the running game. 55 yards rushing as a team in the first half. North Texas, when they can't run the football, they are out of their element trying to throw the football, now getting all kinds of pressure on North Texas's quarterback.
Well, I think if you look at North Texas, they need some emotion. They need to get fired up in the second half. Defensively, they've got to come up with some turnovers. Brandon Kennedy's playing a magnificent job, the 5'10", 320-pound defensive tackle. But the problem is they need to create turnovers, come up with a big play defensively. That'll spark the offense. And you said it before, they have to start running the ball offensively, find a way to get it done. All right, coming up at halftime, Big Ben Roethlisberger of Miami of Ohio will visit with us. Look at the team togetherness of the Redhawks as they hang out in Mobile, getting ready to shoot it out with Louisville 2 nights from now. We'll have that plus a lot more coming up on our Dodge halftime report. At halftime, Tigers 17-3 over the Mean Green down in New Orleans.
This halftime report brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Memphis quarterback Danny Wimprine scampers in from 7 yards out, a 17-3 halftime lead from Memphis over North Texas. Now, the next bowl game on the schedule, another Conference USA team, Louisville, will take on one of the hottest teams in the country. Miami of Ohio has won 12 straight games since losing to Iowa to start the season. 10 of those games, they've scored more than 40 points, and a big reason is quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country this season. He joins us now from Mobile. It looks like you made your teammates show up. You said, if I got to do an interview and I can't have fun, you got to all stick with me tonight. That's very good togetherness, Ben. Are you guys looking forward to what's expected to be a big offensive show? You guys combined average 1,000 yards, you guys in Louisville.
No, we're excited about this game. We're excited to be here, and everyone's expecting a shootout, and we're hoping to put up quite a few points.
Ben, the assumption is that you'll forgo your senior season and enter the NFL draft. From your perspective, what would be the benefit of staying at Miami of Ohio?
You know, to tell you the truth, I haven't even given it any thought yet because I'm just trying to focus one day at a time and one game at a time. And you can't overlook a team like Louisville. They're too good, and they'll sneak up on you. So right now I'm just focusing on Louisville, and maybe after the game I'll start to make some decisions.
Ben, if you could change one thing about your season this year, would it be to play Iowa later in the season or take another chance and hopefully play them in a bowl game?
You know, we're happy with the way we've had this season. Obviously, our goals coming in were to win a MAC championship and to play 14 games. We've won our MAC championship, and we're getting a chance to play our 14th game. Now we just got to focus on winning that game. And obviously, the Iowa game was tough for us. And if we could have it back, I'm sure everyone behind me would like to have it back also. But you know, you can't really rewrite history, so we just want to look forward to Louisville.
Ben, every time a MAC team gets a showcase game, the issue of conference respect comes up. You guys have had such a great season as a conference this year. Now, you know, the experts expect you guys to really clobber Louisville. Are you still working on the MAC conference respect, or in your mind, has that already been accomplished?
You know, a lot of teams in the MAC have done so well this year. Ourselves, Bowling Green, Northern Illinois. You know, I think if teams just continue to do as good as they can, and you know, we are big favorites this week, but to us that doesn't mean anything. We just have to go out and play as good as we can, and hopefully we'll continue to earn respect from the rest of the country.
All right, Ben, I'm not going to give up on this NFL thing just yet. Realistically, are you prepared physically and mentally? Are you ready to play in the NFL?
You know, I don't know. It's a hard thing to say. I haven't been up there to see those guys. I think obviously those are the biggest, fastest, strongest guys there are. So anyway, whenever it comes time to prepare myself, I'm going to do the best I can.
Well, thanks for taking time out. Do you and your teammates, are you going to hang out together now the rest of the night? Do you have some plans, or are they just following you around, whatever you're doing?
We've got some free time. I think a lot of guys are going to go to the Players Lounge, play some arcade games, or go out to eat. So we're having fun.
All right, well, enjoy your GMAC Bowl experience. Thanks for joining us. And, folks, you can watch what should be a real good game. Miami, Louisville, Thursday night on ESPN2 at 7:30 Eastern Time, the GMAC Bowl. Perhaps the last chance to see Mr. Roethlisberger as a college player. And I'd say Stephon LaFleur is a good quarterback for Louisville as well. We'll shift to focus to other bowl games this week. Coming up next, 17-3 Tigers over the Mean Green. And welcome back to our Dodge Halftime Report. New Orleans Bowl halftime. The first half belongs to the Memphis Tigers. They're ending a 3-decade-plus bowl drought, playing very good in the first 30 minutes, and they lead over the Mean Green. Now, this is the first of, count them, a record 28 bowl games going right through the Nokia Sugar Bowl on January 4th, right back down there in the Superdome. Shift the focus to a game that's intrigued you. These are your bowl beauties, a game that you like on the calendar.
Well, the one that I like is the Plains Capital Fort Worth Bowl, and I like the matchup against TCU and Boise State. But I like Boise State a lot in this football game. Remember TCU during the season, we thought that they could run the table and possibly go to a BCS Bowl. That didn't happen. But let's take a look at Boise State, what they have on offense. They've got Ryan Dinwiddie, one of the top quarterbacks, I believe, in the nation. The way that he can throw the ball, make plays happen. The 28 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions this year. They're second in scoring on offense, 44 points a game. And there's my little buddy Tim Gilligan in for the score. Yes, Tim Gilligan, guys. But on defense, they're 8th in the nation in scoring defense. They only give up 16 points a game, 5th in rush defense. And one thing TCU loves to do is run the football. But if you look at this defense from Boise State, they're very, very underrated, but they play solid teams on defense and special teams. I like Boise State big in this game.
What about the Alamo Bowl, Mark? Talk about Nebraska, Michigan State.
Yeah, Alamo Bowl, and let's talk about Nebraska. This is supposed to be the most coveted job in America by what some people would say, and the standards that have set at Nebraska. But I questioned Steve Peterson after he fired Frank Solich why he didn't come up with that wow name. How come that big name hasn't stepped forward? Dennis Green's turned a job down. Mike Belotti's turned a job down. Kirk Ferentz has turned a job down. Is anybody going to accept this job with a big name?
Mark, you mentioned all the guys that have turned the job down. I don't know that any of those guys have been offered the job, and I think that's the point, is we don't know where they're going here. And the point is the players are really upset in Lincoln. They feel betrayed. They feel a lack of leadership. They just want to know who their head coach is. I think the reality is, and I think what Steve Peterson is doing is the right thing, relaxing, making sure that the right candidate is available. And you have to understand, when that candidate is named the head coach, there are bowl games to be played. There are NFL games to be played. I think you'll find out, Mark, when the next head coach is announced. You might say to yourself, oh, I see why they had to wait. The players have to understand it's not just about them. It's about the program. They may have to take one for the program right now.
Well, they're going to have to take a big one, because it's interesting to me right now. You're going through recruiting season right now, just before bowl season right now, and during bowl season we've just started, that there isn't a name that's mentioned. There's not that one guy they're targeting. People want to know. That's the only major job that isn't filled right now. It's not like you're going to wait for an NFL coach to finish his season and come into Nebraska, because it'll be too late at that
You
point.
And I want to know. It's because it's our job.
Yeah, but it is 17 days and counting since that job was made available with Solich's firing. Recruiting, you're going to have to pretty much sacrifice a recruiting class. That's what you're going to have to do by waiting here.
I think they understand that.
Let's shift ahead to the Rose Bowl. Now, everybody wants to know what's going to happen with a national championship scenario. USC playing for, you'd have to believe, at least a piece of the national title in the AP polls. They take on Michigan, and I know the Wolverines certainly don't feel like spoilers in this game.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at this game, Chris, and saying on the surface, well, USC wins. Don't worry about it. They get the AP championship, and they win half of the national championships. Hey, wait a minute here. You look at this Michigan team, who I think is playing about as well as anybody in college football right now. And one thing about USC is you can say they have a great offense. Defensively, they didn't play well at the end of the season. Oregon State gave up about 500 yards. Look at John Navarre. This offense averaging 457 yards of total offense. They can throw the ball. And Mark, come on, you remember Chris Perry against Ohio State, the way they ran the football. I'm telling you right now, Michigan is going to beat USC. They're going to win the Rose Bowl. We won't have any issues. And that game down in Louisiana will be the true champion.
One question. How do they stop this offense under Norm Chow?
I don't think they have to stop it. The point is their offense will be on the field. They can ball control, play Michigan football. And Matt Leinart, Mike Williams, and all those guys, the terrific talent that they are, they can't make plays if they're sitting on the sideline.
Pace yourselves, guys. You got about 23 more bowls to kick this game around before New Year's Day.
I'm just going to gum out early.
Now let's go to January 4th, and Oklahoma will go into that game a slight favorite over LSU in the Superdome, but one of the most decorated college teams in the history of the sport already. The AP All-American team is out. Look at that, 5 Sooners on the first team. That equals the most any team's ever had. The 45 Army team with Blanchard and Davis, the 87 Sooners, Keith Jackson, Ricky Dixon, and now the 2003 Sooners. Look at the major awards. I mean, the Heisman going to Jason White, that's just the tip of the iceberg. 3 different Sooner defensive players winning major award. That's incredible.
And look they have it at every level. That's the point about their defense. You have it up front with Tommy Harris, Teddy Lehman in the middle, and then Derek Strait at the defensive back. We didn't even mention guys like Dan Cody. I mean, they've got terrific players not winning major awards that are part of that great defense as well.
I think if you look back on this is probably Bob Stoops' best job of recruiting. Go back 3, 4, 5 years. These are those players that he brought in after the national championship year. These are the players that he wanted to lean on, and some players came from junior college. He got players that he recruited across the country. I thought that was key for Bob Stoops to do that, to mix those guys together.
And those guys on the list tell us there's a whole lot of All-Americans you've never heard of because they haven't seen the field yet in the pipeline in Oklahoma. By the way, USC had 3 first-team All-Americans. LSU, the Sooners' opponent down there in New Orleans, only Chad Lavallee. It doesn't mean anything once you kick the ball off.
Rose Bowl pick, did you?
No, I said you got a lot of time to go before you go at each other. We'll come back. A couple of news stories and news of the Sonic Bowl mania. Stick around.
This halftime report brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
We're back on the Dodge halftime report. The Sonic Bowl Mania Challenge is here. Log on to ESPN.com and sign up. Pick winners for all this year's bowl games. Track your progress throughout bowl week. You can compete against your friends as well as ESPN announcers. Go to ESPN.com and register. You're going to lose a point already for not playing tonight's game, so you get there very soon.
I'm already down a point.
Yeah. Well, I'm not making any more picks. I'm going to wait a couple weeks.
But I like to start off slow. I like to start off slow.
I mean, no more big, picks. I'm going to study first.
All right, well, study and make your picks. Other news that Joe Horn's cell phone stunt pulling it out of the goalpost padding on Sunday night will cost him $30,000. His agent, Ralph Vitolo, says that's the fine the NFL has levied. Vitolo is saying he will appeal that. Michael Lewis, who assisted in the retrieval of that cell phone, reportedly has also been fined $5,000 by the NFL. And news on the tragic traffic accident that claimed the life of former Chicago Blackhawk defenseman and coach Keith Magnuson. Former NHL defenseman Rob Ramage, who was the driver of that vehicle, has been charged with impaired driving causing the death. That took place in the suburbs of Toronto yesterday. Keith Magnuson was 56.
Back in New Orleans, what denomination would you guys guess Reverend Zombie represents?
He's in the voodoo denomination. Didn't you see it right there?
Which seminary would he have attended is the question I'm
Well, it wasn't Presbyterian, Dave. Let's just put it that way.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Memphis didn't need any voodoo. They just flat dominated North Texas in the first half. 208 total yards, and it's hard to find anything they didn't do well.
But most of all, I have to say that the spreading of the ball, 7 different receivers catching the ball, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, they just spread it all over the field, and Wimprine's been unstoppable.
Yeah, and just to build on that, the yards after catch, you have 62 yards, which is a big part of their offense. What North Texas has to do is they have to start winning first downs to put themselves in a position to run or pass on third down, and they got to get Cobbs rolling.
And they had 3 great chances at big plays and couldn't hit any of them. Wimprine hit almost everything.
Yeah, he was hot, and that's the thing that coaches. He had a rough 2 games previous. He comes into this game with confidence. He's a competitor. He was challenged not only by himself, but he was challenged by the coaching staff, and he's really stepped up his game here at home. See Cobbs right there. I talked about Cobbs, he has to get going. He's at 42 yards, 12 rushes.
12 rushes for 42 yards, but 20 of them came on the one run.
That's right.
He has tripped repeatedly on this surface. Now, whether it's the fault of the surface or his shoes or whether he's just not picking his feet up is something we can't tell.
Average is 157, best in the country. 115 below that as North Texas kicks off to begin the second half. Chris Kelly on the return. And just out across the 20. Danny Wimprine back to work. Absolutely spectacular in the first half. And let's check in down below with Heather.
Dave, I just had a chance to talk to Coach Dickey. He was obviously very concerned about the 55 yards rushing in the first half. The big question, how do you fix it? Well, he said he made several major changes to his blocking scheme that he'll use in this second half. But he also said we need to continue to mix it up. We cannot rely on just Patrick Cobbs to win this game for us.
Yeah, that 20-yarder early tripped when it would have been 70 and a score. That ball missing on 2 wide open would-be touchdowns. Memphis has not missed on really anything. And another wide open receiver, Garcia again, down near the 30. He has burned him 3 times now, and this one goes 46 yards.
What a brilliant way to come out to start the second half. Don't just hand it off. Get into some misdirection with the boot and see if you can get a big one down the middle. A perfect throw by Wimprine again. And really, North Texas is on the ropes here early in the third quarter.
63-yarder early. Key pass interference. And now gets them down to a 1st and 10 from the 32. Lakendis Cole upended by Evan Cardwell.
The receivers have just done a marvelous job. There you see Davis, Garcia, Avery. There are others. Pratcher made a big catch. Kelly made a touchdown catch. Even when the ball hasn't been thrown perfectly, they've made Wimprine look good, and that's what great receivers are supposed to do.
This time, Darren White, who started in motion and hit inside the 25. We are told Darren Parquette will not return. The second-team running back. They're already missing their starter, D'Angelo Williams, with a knee injury. And now Parquette after an early shoulder injury. So Lakendis Cole, the third-teamer, their third leading rusher. And if something would happen to him, they are down to a redshirt freshman who has not touched the ball in any way, shape, or form, Brian Davis.
I think Cole's done a great job of filling in. He's really running hard, knowing his opportunity. He's making the most of it.
Avery went on motion, and flags and whistles.
They got Butler jumping. He's a pulling guard. He wants to get out there and get in front of people. And a lot of times those guys will get excited, jump out of their stance.
Snap. Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Penalties have not been a major issue. In the low 40s, about 43 yards a game in penalties for Memphis. Tommy West team reasonably disciplined, but you sure don't want to blow an opportunity like this. They were right down there 3rd and 2. Now they got 3rd and 7, and there's a big, big difference statistically in converting.
Butler's daddy was my linebacker coach up at Cleveland, so you know he comes from a football family. Keith was a great linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks.
Bad snap. Good hot throw, and Wimprine recovers it back at the 41. It is a huge loss, but it's not a disaster. And it could have been.
Gene Frederick, number 76, a very good offensive center, normally reliable. But I mentioned that he struggled in pregame warm-ups with his gun snaps, and that one went completely berserk. Slipped in his hands. His thumb slipped off the ball, and it just went awry. And those are things that you can't predict and you cannot tolerate in the center quarterback exchange. And what they've done is to get themselves stopped, which is really fortunate for North Texas.
Loss of 12 on the bad snap. And Brandon Roberson will try to pin this one somewhere inside the 10-yard line. He may just do it too. Nope, doesn't get the bounce. And they'll net just 21 yards.
It's funny there, Johnny Quinn took a shot. Now that ball wasn't near Johnny Quinn. Johnny Quinn wasn't near the ball, but the Memphis defender comes down. Derek Ballard comes in and tackles him. They're lucky they didn't get a 15-yarder on that.
Yeah, and look at Tommy West's face. He knows full well what could have happened there had they been able to punch that in.
So North Texas will take it for the first time here in the second half, down 14. Well, the Elvi have made it into the Superdome. North Texas knew coming in they had to hit every big play opportunity. They've missed at least 3. They have tied at Andy Blunt 20 yards behind any defender, underthrown. Cobbs is ready to go 70, trips up at midfield, settles for 20. And then running this one back from 9 yards deep, Kevin Moore fumbles. Cato Mott recovered at the 8. They did hold the Tigers to a field goal there. But North Texas just 35 yards since their opening possession, and Cobbs again has absolutely nowhere to go.
Well, it's stopping on first down. That time Taylor does a great job, and anytime you have a bursting running back, a guy that can hurt you like Cobbs, how you slow him down, make him change directions, you get penetration right there. Taylor got great penetration. We talked about what they had to do. Memphis defense, they've been great tonight, 1.3 yards on first down. And when on the offensive side of the ball, they've turned into running backs after they catch the ball and make something happen.
Well, we'll see where Daryl Dickey has changed the blocking assignments. As he mentioned to Heather at the half. And if they produce anything good. Just to the 21-yard line this time goes Cobbs, running into the nose tackle Albert Means.
You know, you can draw up any blocking assignment, any blocking scheme you want, but if you don't sustain blocks, as Coach Curry will tell you, it does not matter what kind of scheme you have. And right now, Memphis' defensive line is beating them to the punch. They're getting their hands inside and they're disengaging, where North Texas is having a problem sustaining. And the defensive coordinator, Joe Lee Dunn, said he felt they could exploit the offensive line of North Texas. And guess what? He's been right.
Another 3rd and long is 1 out of 6 converting 3rd downs. North Texas offense. Hall play fake. Finally has plenty of time, going deep for Quinn and overthrows him. He had a step on O.C. Collins.
Major difference in this football game has been when North Texas has a receiver that has a step, the ball's 6 yards overthrown. When Wimprine gets a shot at a deep one, he has hit them, all of them. And when he didn't throw it well, his receiver came back and got it.
Hall now 3 of 8 for 31 yards. And a low snap handled nicely by Cadlebar. Gets off a decent kick, too. All Cole Hoppy has done is fair catch.
He's not looking to run it now.
Nope. 43 this fair catch, 36 for this punt. And the Tigers have enjoyed the advantage in field position most of the night. So 10:36 to go, 3rd quarter. Again, North Texas unable to move it. Just 87 total yards so far. They've got a lot to envy in this New Orleans Bowl.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of the 2003 New Orleans Bowl. Brought to you by the Chrysler Pacifica. Well beyond the SUV. And by Old Navy. Old Navy will hook you up for the holidays.
Back inside the Superdome, Memphis up 17-3, but for North Texas per capita, it just might be home to more famous faces than any other university. Familiar alums include notable musicians like Nora Jones, Don Henley, Pat Boone, Roy Orbison. Add to that list 2 former Miss Americas, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and last but not least, our very own Dave Barnett was once a Screaming Eagle. Dave, was that back at what, class of 95 maybe?
No, it was before that, and last and definitely least. That's one of those what's wrong with this pictures, Helen, Heather. I'm telling you, there are much bigger names to be putting on that graphic than me, Heather.
You know, the other big question we get is why the Mean Green? Well, the name started in the late 60s as a moniker for the defense inspired by the team's future NFL Hall of Famer Joe Green. It then evolved into the team's nickname, and most of the sports teams have followed suit, but their mascot is still that scrappy eagle you see around here.
And LaKendis Cole on the carry to the 47-yard line.
And Dave, a little bit more. We had to bust your chops just a bit. The proud alum, we went way.
Oh my goodness.
Is that Bruce Jenner? No, that would be Dave Barnett in that butterfly collar. Our very proud colleague.
Oh, look who else we have.
College fan time.
This would be our statistician, Kirk McCarley. So I'm joined in my total embarrassment.
That last picture was the very first boy band.
Oh my goodness. Wimprine almost intercepted. And Markeith Knowlton upset because he had a real shot at that one. And North Texas needing any kind of turnover.
Well, Chris Hurd had a big sack. Knowlton had a big interception. But fortunately for North Texas, Memphis linemen were downfield. So they get something decent out of it.
Yeah, good job by Wimprine. Again, that was probably the first time this ball game where we saw him try to make something happen that wasn't there, and that's what they were trying to avoid. But it was a good job.
Downfield offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Of using his feet.
See, it was a real happy time because I'd finally passed the test, and we had to celebrate
I
that.
think you should go back to the page boy. He was so precious.
not.
Well, Coach and I were surprised that you didn't have your own page in the media guide, Dave. I know everybody was telling me.
I wasn't surprised.
Wimprine, who quick kicked in the first half. That one bangs off Craig Jones, and he quickly jumps onto the 24. The versatility of Danny Wimprine, 29 yards. So have you had your fun now? When we get back to the game.
I really do want to say something about the football game. What's happened here, and this is significant for the rest of the game looking forward, is that North Texas has hung in there, and they could have been down 2 more touchdowns by now, but Memphis has shot themselves in the foot, plus North Texas, I think, is playing a little harder.
Well, they are playing a little bit harder, but they have to get something going offensively. They can't keep counting on their defense to keep Danny Wimprine and the Memphis offense off the field. They've got to get something going offensively, at least the first down.
And again on first down, little room finally, and Cobbs breaks this one. 15 yards. His first since that 20-yarder, near 70-yarder on their opening possession with any kind of blocking and any kind of running.
Well, Dave, we went to the different blocking scheme, and what we're going to come here is we're going to counter the counter OF. The O meaning the backside guard pulling right there, and the F would be the fullback on the leading. And it's a trapping scheme instead of a zone running scheme where it gives the offensive linemen and backs a little bit better angle on blocking the defenders. And you were able, see, here's the F right there, there's the O. There you have 2 guys kicking out, and Cobbs now has space to work and time to work. Good call, good adjustment by Darryl Dickey at halftime.
All on the option. It's the second one of these they've run, and he struggles, gets about 5 yards out of it.
Chris mentioned that Joe Lee Dunn, with his gambling blitzing style, does not like to face the option because that forces assignment football. When you're doing the stunting, and you can almost see it in his face, I think Chris's phrase was a headache. And it's 2nd and 5, which is another thing that you talked about, Chris.
Yeah, you know, a rarity, too, is you rarely see a defensive coordinator with no headsets on the sidelines. Usually
no, he doesn't wear socks either. No headset, no socks.
Ramon Flanagan met Joe Lee Dunn when he was quarterback for SMU, and 8 seconds into the season, Joe Lee Dunn, Arkansas defense, dislocated Flanagan's hip when he was highly touted quarterback for SMU, and he was out for the season on the season's first play. Cobbs to the 47, 3rd and 3.
And see, now they go back to the conventional lead draw, and again, they're not getting any push up front. The offensive line is playing high.
No, but it's 3rd and 2. They had 2nd and 5. Now it's 3rd and 2.5. If they can make this first down, then they'll be having their way, even with the fact that they're a little outmanned up front.
Tiger fans asking for a stop. First time North Texas has moved it since their first series. Costly Cobbs, and he's short of the 3rd.
And they did not make it. I think that was a tactical mistake by Ramon because he went unbalanced to the field, sent a man in motion to get an extra blocker, but in so doing, he announced to Joe Lee what he was going to do, and they ran it down.
No, they did, and speed on this Memphis defense is what it's built on. They're not overly huge up front, but they all can run, as witnessed on the last toss sweep, chasing the #1 back in the country down from behind.
So they move it, but they still can't cross midfield, and Cadlebar will again kick to Hoppy. But first, North Texas will have to burn a timeout.
So you don't burn a timeout here. You take the 5 yards because of the field position.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's not smart football right now.
I think maybe you have coached.
No,
yeah,
I told you, little girls soccer.
We learned something, big man.
We led the league in penalties. Imagine that, huh?
But, Daddy, do you want me to kick her again? No, I'm sure you didn't coach that.
Thursday night, more bowl action here on ESPN2. Miami of Ohio, MAC champions, led by quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. A lot of NFL attention, and the Louisville Cardinals will be waiting in Mobile in the GMAC Bowl. Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN2.
I've talked to a lot of NFL scouts, and if Ben decides to come out, a lot of people have him above Eli Manning. That's a strong statement on how good he is.
If anybody saw the MAC championship, that would not be that surprising to hear.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks, and not to mention the Heisman Trophy winner, Jason White. Congratulations to him. That's a picture of perseverance there. 2 ACLs coming back.
He may come back for a 6th year. He's thinking about getting another medical red shirt and perhaps petitioning to play again next year. Memphis team met with Eli Manning early in the season. A huge win for the Tigers. At that point, no one could really tell that Eli would have the season he had, or certainly that Ole Miss would have the season they ended up with. And then somehow they lost to Mississippi State. Even harder to figure. Cadlebar really booming this one and gets a perfect bounce, and it will be killed at the 6-yard line by Cody Spencer. 45 yards, about as well as you can do it. And the Tigers are back way up, but they do have a 14-point lead in this match of wits between the veteran defensive mind, Joe Lee Dunn, and the 28-year-old offensive coordinator, Ramon Flanagan. Well, North Texas has Memphis back up, and if any sign really captures the feeling for Memphis and their fans, that one does the job.
Both Coach and I have been impressed with the enthusiasm of the players and the coaches and the excitement about being here.
It was electric during warm-ups on the field, players and the fans.
So any worries that Memphis would play as if they're just happy to be here and getting here was the whole job have really been unfounded. One of the more solid games of the year. Near their own goal line here, and just the 3rd incompletion of the night by Wimprine.
And we talked about what Memphis has to do to win this football game, and so far things are falling into place. Hall, the quarterback, Scotty is only able to 3 for 8 for 31 yards. They eliminated Cobb 62 yards, but a lot of those yards are 2 runs, and you're getting solid play from your star and Danny Wimprine, who's responding to the pressure of the coaches. And at one point, real quick, is that North Texas has a chance to create some field position for their offense this series.
Cole unable to get any kind of corner room over there and chased down by Kennedy.
Yeah, Big Booger. Big Booger got him. Big Booger does a great job of pursuing down the line of scrimmage, and he's tough to move, and watch his pursuit angle and coming down and finishing the tackle. And the one thing I like about the tackle that he made is he brought his feet. He ran through the guy as opposed to running to the guy. Right there, he beats the center, just disengages, and this is nice. And look, the big man come down and wrap his arms and bring his feet and run through as opposed to run to the man. Run through him, Booger.
Brother Kanoy, the NFL, proud of that one. And 3rd and 12 coming from Memphis. And flags and early movement, it looked like on Cole this time.
Prior to the snap, we have dead ball, false start, offense.
So it'll be 3rd and even more. And Brandon Kennedy, the 2-time Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. We summarize his night here.
Not a tall guy, but big and excellent with his body control. Can stay on his feet when we're seeing him at full speed. And when he goes full speed, he is a load.
Take a look at him now right here to see if we get a pass rush.
Run it on 3rd and 14. Adrian Owasson and Cody Spencer combined for that stop.
Yeah, Gene Frederick took Booger for a ride right there. Now Booger might need some cab fare to get back to the huddle because he got him. Yeah, watch. Gene got mad because Booger took care of him last time. Look at Gene. Gene's going to finish the block this time, and Booger said, hey, I'm not used to that back pedal. Well, I'm no DB. Yeah. Let's go ahead and knock him up, Booger. He got you there. You got him last time. That's it.
Yeah, Booger would have felt real good if they'd have flagged him and had a 1st down here.
Check the snap here by Frederick. Not much of a punt.
Catch it.
And Jonas Buckles decides to bounce in front.
Got to catch that ball. Got to catch that football. You got to fair catch that.
That was a line drive. I thought he had time. He had time to take that one on the
one
run.
way or the other.
Don't be shy.
You take it at the 40-yard line or you take it up the field.
So North Texas at the 43 of Memphis, some of the best field position they've had all night. Thursday night, ESPN with the exclusive announcement of the 2004 NFL Pro Bowl starters on a special edition of NFL Live at 7 Eastern, the NFL Live Pro Bowl selection show presented by Sears on ESPN.
The field position was created by the defense. I believe it is essential that North Texas gets something out of this field position.
Memphis in the blitz. Hall backs up, going for Quinn, and again overthrows an open receiver. The story for him all night long. All just 3 out of 9, 31 yards through the air.
They come with a counter option look, and Hall is going to run a post, and he's going to turn it in back to the corner. There's the post, and watch a little corner out right there. And Hall threw the ball over his inside shoulder. He's got to put that out toward the sideline and let it either his man have a chance to catch the ball. You got to make a play now, baby. Come on. Make a play if you want to get in this.
Not typical of him at all. He's a 59% passer, would be 6th rated in the country with 1 more attempt per game. Cobbs unable to get any kind of corner room, and he will lose back to the 46-yard line. Chased there by Wesley Smith.
Coach, help me understand what's going on here now. If you're an offensive guard and you have this happening to you, watch right there, and you're able to knock 2 people off and get penetration and get 2 blockers. How does an offensive guard prevent that from happening?
The offensive guard comes off low and hard under the outside peck and knocks him back. He doesn't get drilled in the backfield and take up 2 blockers.
You got a speeding ticket going into those blockers, man.
Answer to your question.
All right.
Just some more cab fare.
Get me coached up, Coach. I got you.
Ball is buried on 3rd and 12. Greg Harper, the linebacker.
And what we just witnessed was Joe Lee Dunn, with all his years and wisdom, outsmarting the offensive brain trust of North Texas.
Flag is down here. John Smith of the Big East.
We have offside and dead ball, unsportsmanlike on both teams. Offense and defense, 4th down.
Second time we've had that, too.
Well, there's some jawing going on out there, but there's a lot of thinking going on. And Ramon Flanagan's getting another education from Joe Lee. Joe Lee knew very well that that's a quarterback draw down, so he just filled every gap. Until and unless Scott Hall can hit open receivers, they've had 4 opportunities for big plays tonight, and Scott Hall has just over-adrenalized all of them. He's overthrown all of them. He did the same thing in the New Mexico State game. We talked to him about it yesterday. He said, look, I just got too excited. I was overthrowing the ball that day, and he's doing the same thing tonight, and that's life. Sometimes when you're in a big game, that happens. Fortunately for his team, they're still in it. Even though they didn't get anything done here, they can maintain field position if they can kick them deep again.
And you're right, Coach. And the other thing, once Joe Lee realizes that Scott's struggling, he gets more courageous now. He's going to start going in that Joe Lee playbook that runs pretty deep. It's in his head right there, and just going to come out and start drawing them up in the dirt. Let's try this blitz. No, I want this blitz, Coach. We're going to be drawing straws for Scott Hall pretty soon the way it's going.
So finally, after the offsetting penalties, Brad Cadlebar will try to do exactly what he did last time, which is pin the Tigers inside the 10. All Hoppy has done all night is get fair catches, and this one not nearly as good.
I think that's by orders. Orders to fair catch.
Memphis from their 16 when we come back to New Orleans.
Inside the Superdome, where North Texas's defensive star Brandon Kennedy is being hampered by severe cramping in both his calves and his hamstrings. Now, during halftime, the athletic staff did administer an IV of saline solution to try and hydrate it. It is very, very humid in here. Brandon doesn't know whether or not he'll be able to make it throughout the rest of the 4th quarter, guys.
Well, he's in there right now. We'll see how far he can go. Tigers at their 16. 3:46 to go 3rd quarter. Wimprine swinging it out for Avery. Receiver hampered by an MCL injury. Cost him the last 2 games of the regular season. Tackled by Taylor Casey.
What a great job by Taylor Casey. Came up, took on the blocker, stayed square, shed the blocker, made the play, let the pursuit come inside out. I'll tell you, I'm impressed with the overall intensity of the Green defense in the second half.
Yeah, they didn't panic when they gave up the big play early. They come back and responded.
Well, Memphis helped them out there with some self-destructive behavior.
They fake, and Wimprine looks up with some room for a second or two, and then it evaporated, and Michael Pruitt got him low. Look at our ESPN2 game track. It's the third quarter now. First half belonged to Danny Wimprine. He had only one incompletion. He threw for a touchdown. He rushed for a touchdown. And the yak yards really favored Memphis. 82, and a lot of those on two completions to Aaron Garcia for 109 yards. He was involved on another long pass interference call against Jeremy Pearl. Make a case for him for MVP tonight. Not for the almost perfect play of Wimprine.
Wimprine showing some hesitancy, a little uncertainty for the first time in this football game. And you can see the tension mount in the offense of Memphis.
Well, Coach West is getting on somebody right there. Now he might be getting on Wimprine, or he might be getting on his coach over there, calling the plays for him.
Memphis timeout. All right, everybody likes to pick the bowls. Everybody likes the basketball brackets. Here's your chance now to do it in bowl season. The Sonic Bowl Mania Challenge is the official ESPN office pool. You can join it. You can enter by logging on to ESPN.com. Search Bowl Mania, register for a free account, and compete against us and our other college football announcing colleagues. You pick the winner of all 28 bowl games, assign your level of confidence, which game you are most confident in your prediction, all the way down to your least confident prediction. And the highest point total wins a trip to a bowl game next season. We will accept entries all the way through 8 Eastern Christmas night. Your picks in? Got it?
Yeah.
That's not very confident.
I had a little trouble with that computer thing, Dave.
I think we're not allowed to vote in office pools.
No, you're required. You're required. There's no money changing hands here. You're required.
We don't get any money?
No.
Well, why would we?
What they pay you, Coach, you don't need any money now.
Yeah, right, Chris. You played when the money was flowing, pal. I played in the penny days. Penniless.
Three-man rush on Wimprine. Gunning for Avery. He almost hauled it in one-handed.
I'll tell you, a guy that's played well for North Texas is Michael Pruitt. Anytime you can get pressure with a three-man rush, it's an outstanding effort coming off the corner, beating his man one-on-one. And North Texas is lucky that wasn't complete, because their linebackers 3rd and 10. You got to read receivers and take away seam routes. That ball should have been caught.
Should have been caught. Avery should have laid out, put 2 hands on the football, and brought it in.
Yes, sir.
But he hadn't been playing, and when you hadn't practiced and you hadn't played, that's the kind of thing that happens to you.
So again, Wimprine to punt. Has a rugby rollout look to him, and furiously backpedaling to the 40 for the fair catch of Johnny Quinn. 42 on Wimprine's best punt of the night.
Again, they got good field position to work with, yet they've been not able to capitalize at all, at least so far in the second half, on the field position that they've been given. Their defense has been stout.
Well, you asked me a question in a break, Chris. What happened to the counter O?
Yeah, we've seen it
once.
Right,
so we saw it once. It went for about 14 yards. We haven't seen it again. And young Ramon Flanagan, who's a sharp young coach, is going to learn to come back to stuff that's working.
Texas going for 9 straight, which would equal them with Boise State for the 2nd longest current win streak behind Miami of Ohio. They on the draw for Cobbs, and he gets maybe 2 to the 44. Tackled in by Eric Taylor. It's been a very frustrating night for the nation's leading rusher. 60 yards on 62 now on 19 carries. Barely 3 yards per carry.
Most of it
average is 5.5.
Most of it on 2 runs.
Look there now. You see, taking a look at Memphis' defense. They got all guys up here in the box for the run. You've got to be able to throw something down and give them a chance.
Jamel Branch, the latest to struggle with his footing. On the little hitch, he loses back to the 40, and they're looking at 3rd and 12. That's been the story all night.
North Texas really struggling with this surface. They're not accustomed. Obviously, they're accustomed to playing on regular grass, it would appear, because they're planting what they hope are cleats. You're shaking your head no, Dave?
Not since the Joe Green era.
Really?
It's been a while since
they've played on artificial turf.
Not this time.
They're not accustomed to this.
They're not accustomed to the Astro.
They're accustomed to better traction.
Whatever it is, it's affected both teams, which seems to have affected the Mean Green more.
Hall looks up again, open, and this time he connects with Quinn to the 35.
A good job of recognition, and Quinn is Hall's comfort level receiver. He's going to look for him. Whether he's going to run a 7 route or a corner route, Scotty Hall shows good composure, avoiding a rush and delivering a strike to his big play wide receiver and Johnny Quinn, who does a good job of securing the football. Nice adjustment with the hips. That's what they need to do on first down. They've got 11 people playing about 6 yards off the ball. Get over their heads and throw it. Take your shot.
25 yards. Hall had thrown for a total of 27 for the game before that one, down to the 35 of the Tigers. And after the fake to Cobbs, that one should have been intercepted right in Coot Terry's hands.
Eric Taylor, number 50, is having a superb game for Memphis. Defensive end has been in the face of the quarterback. He's made plays in the running game. I'd have to say so far that Eric for Memphis, and Pruitt, 93 for the other guys, North Texas. Those two guys have had the best game. Look at him keep his feet right in the quarterback's face. Doesn't let him outside.
2nd and 10. And the shotgun option. Cobbs
Shows that burst and is gone. Touchdown. 35 yards. He finally breaks one.
Now the pupil has become the teacher. Ramon Flanagan, the fine offensive coordinator for North Texas, has said, okay, Coach Dunn, let's see if you got an answer for this one. A little option, play side out of the gun. And this gritty group in green, the Mean Green, is right back in this football game, and they have hung on long enough to get themselves a chance to do this.
Basil Dua to make it a 1-touchdown game, 17-10.
Okay, it's going to take they're going to run the speed option. That means it's direct snap out of the shotgun. He reads the outside linebacker pitch and watch a little shake and bake. Give him a leg, and he will take it away. Right there, Vogel overruns it. He doesn't close the gate in front of the ball. And when that young man smells a touchdown, he'll go ahead and find it for me. He did. And then look at Coach West right there. Being a defensive guy, you don't want to give up big plays on the ground. His fellas gave up a big play on the ground. That didn't make him happy.
He just watched the game get away from him.
Now, the sentiment on these signs is aimed at the Doak Walker Award folks, because Patrick Cobbs was not even considered for that award that goes to the best running back in the country. And their excuse was, well, he wasn't nominated before the season. What that has to do with anything, I'm very curious to know. But we got the nation's leading rusher playing 35 miles away from Dallas, where that award is headquartered. And you know, they look at character for it. Very high character guy, so there were a lot of people very upset that Cobbs is not even considered for the Doak Walker.
Well, now I'm officially very upset about it too. But there are too many individual awards in football. Football's not an individual sport, but if you're going to have them, then you include the guys that can run like this. This guy's a football player. He can do it all. He breaks tackles. He doesn't get himself into bad situations. He doesn't get discouraged, keeps coming at you.
Chris Kelly from the 1. Is belted at the 26-yard line.
From the flags again.
Allen Harrison flies in for the special teams hit.
I give you Kelly credit too for hitting it up in there now. He's not running on eggs or running shy.
No. He's coming after it.
Yeah.
Well, while the officials are conferring, let's talk about Patrick Cobbs. He's also a very unselfish player. His teammates love him. He shares the credit with everybody on the team rather than to take it for himself.
top 3 of the country this year on the ground. You have Michael Turner of Northern Illinois, with 37 yards per game. Number 2, the Sooner defeater, Darren Sproles. And then you have Patrick Cobbs at 157 yards per game. 97 tonight on 20 carries. And a 35-yard touchdown to get the Mean Green back in this New Orleans Bowl. The unselfishness you talked about, the Daryl Dickey, as he went to him late in the Arkansas State game, said,
During the return, we have a live ball, holding foul against the returning team. That's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run.
Said you're just a few yards away from the single-game record, the season record.
The dead ball, personal fouls, both ways. Offset, first down.
That's a third offsetting penalty. Anyway, Patrick Cobb said, nope, Coach, we got this game. Let the backups play. They work as hard as I do.
Well, that's what Coach is talking about. How football's a team game, and right there's the epitome of a team player. And Cobbs. You got Booger down there getting him going. Now let's see if he can take his cheerleading into play right here. We'll show you. Getting ISO on Booger. He's right over the center.
Quarter blitz. And Cole busted. A much harder hitting North Texas defense now. Walter Priestley coming in to join Chris Hurd on the last play of the third quarter. And the Mean Green get the only points of the third quarter.
Yeah, Booger made him cut it back. Let the linebackers go get him.
Memphis did anything it wanted in the first half. Brandon Kennedy and company turned things around a bit. They're very much in this New Orleans Bowl with the fourth quarter still to come. Well, this might be the noisiest single moment of the 3 New Orleans Bowls that have been played here in the Superdome as we begin the fourth quarter with Bill Curry, Chris Spielman, and Heather Cox, Dave Barnett. It was 17-3 Memphis. They did anything they wanted in the first half. Well, Texas could get nothing, but they got a 35-yard touchdown run by Patrick Cobbs. And Wimprine unloading for Avery, broken up this time in triple coverage. Greg Jones got back there from strong safety.
Yeah, that's the good news, but the bad news is Avery was wide slap open, and Wimprine, for the first time tonight, could not get the ball to his open receiver. The bad news for North Texas is, yes, they're playing harder, and they're running to the football better, but they are still getting beat deep. Look at Avery. He's got 4 steps on the entire secondary. Craig Jones, most notably, number 22. Buckles coming from the other side of the field, a late arrival. They're lucky there.
They need 9. They've missed their last 6 third down conversions, and 5 of 13 for the night now. Wimprine again deep, again wide open, and again Jones gets a hand on it intended for Darren Garcia. Well, they went a little conservative in the third quarter. So much for that in the fourth quarter.
Right here, Dave, take a look now. I want to show you something. This isn't cover 2. Now, if you're going to play cover 2, what you have to do, this guy has got to get a jam on the receiver to slow him down so he can give his safety time to get over the top. He lets Garcia run straight through. He puts too much pressure on the safety. The safety didn't have time there. And the only reason why North Texas isn't going to have the field goal block team on is because Garcia dropped the ball. But if you're in cover 2, you've got to jam the wide receivers to slow down the timing of the route.
You mean the extra point, Bob?
Thank you. Same thing. Kickers are kicker.
Quinn chases this Wimprine punt back to the 42 with some room. A flag down on a block way behind the play. Quinn to the 37-yard line. Knowlton and Darren White got tangled up after Quinn had run a good 10 yards beyond them.
Great point. I mean, that's not a smart football play. The guy's pass you call save it. You can block a guy in the back. All you got to do is go up and belly bump him. They'll never call you. You can throw him in the back all you want. Just throw your hands up. Look, that's what the coach is saying, man. Belly bump him. Save it. But you go ahead and knock the guy in the back after the guy's running by you. You're killing yourself.
Doing the return, holding, return team, 10 guys from the spot.
And that's even worse.
First down.
You see Markeith coming right here. Quinn does a good job of getting the outside, and right there, see that right there's a tackle, man. Let him go. You don't need to hold him. You got him. You got him. Let him go. He's gone. He's off.
In effect, that is about a 30-yard penalty on Markeith Knowlton, where it had absolutely no chance of helping Johnny Quinn. So Cobbs will get 9 hard-fought yards on first down.
And you get the power O play right now. This is a difference. Now, what this allows North Texas offensive linemen to do is go ahead and block with angles as opposed to blocking straight up man-to-man.
Our game track, Cobbs on this 35-yard cutback. Finally, a touchdown for the nation's second leading scorer. In addition to being the top runner in the country this year, just fractions behind the nation's scoring leader, Cedric Benson of Texas. Over 100 for the night. Cobbs again with the toss, and again a flag is down way behind the play. Here goes Cobbs. O.C. Collins prevents the touchdown inside the 15, but we wait for the flag way back behind the line. It is holding North Texas, and Tori Dickey doesn't realize yet. Now she does. The 46-yard run is all for nothing.
If you ever think penalties are not a huge part of a football game, you can take the penalty yardage, add 76 yards to it, and in the last 4 plays, that's what North Texas has relinquished because of carelessness.
During the run, holding offense, 10 yards in the previous spot, remains second down.
Eric Taylor, number 50, was held, defensive end.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
well, wait a minute now.
Zuniga got him.
Yeah, Zuniga was called, but that's a very questionable call in my mind.
Well, he brought the left hand over and swatted him down from behind. Take a look. If he keeps his hand.
Watch the right guard. We can see him right here. All right, there it is. It was absolutely a good call. I was wrong. You can't bring that back hand and sling him on the ground. Just can't do that.
Well,
the
this
offensive line leader has cost him big time.
This one, in effect, a 57-yard penalty, and Hall for a loss back at the 29. They had Cobbs at the 13 of Memphis before that flag, and now they're at their own 29.
So 87 yards they've given up because of penalties.
87 in the last 4 or 5 plays. This is a team that was penalized at 89 yards per game during the season, and when we mentioned it to the coaches and players yesterday, they were sort of flippant about it, but it has just killed them here.
Yeah, right here is Johnny Quinn. That's the guy he's like to go to in this type of situation.
Well protected. Hall again lucky it wasn't intercepted, this time by Will Hayden. He returned one for a touchdown against Houston this year, right in his hands that time.
Yeah, North Texas had 3 guys in the same area, and that's obviously a missed route run by the receivers. A hand grenade would have got them all. You know, you got to spread the field a little bit and let that defense spread out so you can find a hole.
Boy, night of what could have been for North Texas. Cobbs twice has broken long ones that didn't produce anything, missing wide open receivers has been Scott Hall's issue all night. 2 hugely costly penalties in the last couple of minutes here. Hobby finally returning a punt.
Good for him.
Well, for Daryl Dickey, it's an interesting week because he used to coach at Memphis. When he did, he met his wife, Tori, who was just all torn up about that penalty a minute ago. Heather will talk with Mrs. Dickey when we come back to New Orleans.
North Texas just a touchdown away from tying things up. Emotions up for all-time high for Coach Dickey, well, also for his wife, Tori. Now, you've been very emotional throughout this game, but of a very unusual allegiances in the fact that you graduated from Memphis. So who do you root for?
There's no question. North Texas, all the way.
I was beginning to wonder, not a lot of green, not any blue. You looked a little bit neutral, but Coach told me you know who pays the paychecks, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm proud of Memphis. It's my alma mater. I'm glad they're here, but we got to win this game.
Are these the longest 12 minutes in your life?
Yes.
Any words of wisdom for Coach?
He'll do great. He always does.
We'll let you enjoy it and try not to be too nervous throughout the rest of this one, okay?
Go Mean Green!
She reminds me so much of someone I know and love with all my heart. Dr. Carolyn Curry, who's sitting at home watching this, and that's exactly the way she was in the stands, and everybody around her drew strength and said, okay, Dr. Curry, you tell them, and we'll cheer with you. And obviously that's what Tori Dickey does as well in support of her husband and a lot of great ladies that are coaches' wives.
Memphis hit with a false start, and then they get North Texas to jump and snap it.
I think North Texas got back and nobody moved. I think they're going to come up 2nd and 16.
Well, Memphis has not been able to get anything going. The last 12 plays have netted -3.
Offsides. Defense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
See,
I think they blew that call.
If I'm Danny Wimprine, what I do now, I don't take a knee, though. If I feel like I got a free play, I think you go ahead and have your receiver recognize they're offsides, maybe take a shot downfield.
I think the officials missed it because, see, nobody moved on the offensive line for Memphis. If the defense draws them and is in the neutral zone, it's always on the defense. The defense moved. Nobody moved for Memphis, and they got back. But the officials were on it, and I wasn't.
4 straight 3 and outs for Memphis.
Wimprine this time wide open, Darren White, and so much
For the 3 and outs, down to the 42 of the mean green and a gain of 21 yards.
That's that skinny post, and if you're playing that too deep coverage like North Texas was playing, and you do not jam the inside receiver, puts too much pressure on the safety. He's caught between the proverbial rock and hard place between the outside guy and the inside guy. Doesn't have much of a chance.
Well, the linebacker's got to get underneath that and prevent that throw. That's the only.
He's got to get a jam on whoever it is, either it's a linebacker or corner, somebody.
4 wide, draw play, Robert Douglas. Ex-linebacker on his first carry inside the 40, gets 3. Adrian Owasum and Cody Spencer get Douglas. Just in to give McKendis Cole a breather. And Darren Marquette sprained his right shoulder early in the game and has not been seen since the first quarter.
Looking forward in this football game, what's happened is the mean green has come out and they have punched Memphis right in the mouth in the second half. Says, y'all want to play some tackle? We're playing tackle. Let's get it on.
Conference USA's football game. Rushing leader, D'Angelo Williams, not suited up as you saw. Avery with the hitch.
I mean, there's some hitting going on down there in the pit, in the secondary, out on the periphery. North Texas has waked up. You don't win 18 in a row in your league, Chris, unless you're that kind of team.
Well, I think they got tired of getting punched in the face. They come out the second half and say, look, what do we do best? We're physical with people, and they have taken the fight to Memphis this second half. The penalties, as mentioned many times, have killed them.
Only 3 losses in those 19 games to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Air Force. Bobbled, and Cole hangs on just to get blasted. Here comes the late flag, though.
Going to be another penalty, a face mask, probably. Taylor Casey, Adrian Owasum, green shirts flying all over this football field, but making one mistake after another, allowing Memphis to keep drives alive.
Big face mask, too.
It's a nice job now. Take a look at it, but it's a nice job of Adrian Owasum pulling off his pass rush. He's just diving to reach the guy. Now, if he feels you got the mask, you got to go ahead and let it go. Being in that situation, a lot of times you don't feel like you have the mask. It happens so fast. The only time you feel like you have a mask, a piece of your fingers hanging off, then you knew you got a caught.
Well, I played for a guy named Don Shula, and he preached to us every year we could be the most physical team in the league and the least penalized. And he didn't leave us any choice, and that's exactly what we did. You don't have to have these kinds of penalties and keep killing yourself. Heaven knows what the score would be in the second half had North Texas not made so many penalty mistakes.
Load up that backfield again, give it to Cole. Going old school on first down from 21, which they've done a few times.
It's like Woody Hayes there.
Yeah.
That's Woody Hayes' old goal line formation. Big Pete Johnson.
Goal line.
He ran it all the time.
Goal line to goal line. That's the only formation they had was a full house.
Yeah.
Bob Ferguson was the fullback. You weren't born then.
Well, the penalty. I'll just go back to the penalties one more time. That's 5 for 58 yards, which is an overwhelming amount, but it's the key times and key places in the game where they happen.
Big room this time, and Cole is down to the 5-yard line, and it's 1st and goal Tigers. A 14-yard burst.
Great job up front by Gene Frederick, Jason Matthews, Jeremy Roan, the big guys up front in the white shirts. The O-line sticking on blocks for a change.
So the Tigers poised to accept these North Texas gifts. Cole just able to back his way back to the line, losing his hat in the process. Now, the Tigers this year have not been a good team in these red zone situations. That's not a good ratio at all of touchdowns to opportunities, especially with 6 turnovers. It looks even worse.
2+ now. The opportunity of them pounding it up in there with the loss of the top 2 running backs. And Cole's done a great job tonight. Still, he's not. There's a reason why he's not the starter.
Confusion on the Memphis sideline. Coach West grabbing people to keep them from running on the field, and not a happy camper.
They're down to the last timeout, but they have a chance to open back up a 2-touchdown lead.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of the 2003 New Orleans Bowl. Brought to you by New Orleans. Discover all that New Orleans has to offer at neworleansonline.com. New Orleans, happening every day. And by the next Ford F-150. Built Ford tough.
When mascots collide. Next on Jerry Springer.
Got pad level. Got good pad level on the Eagle.
2nd and goal from the 5 after a timeout. 4 straight 3-and-outs until they get this drive extended, and right up through the middle of the end zone goes LaKendis Cole.
The big guys with the white shirt just put the big guys in the green shirt on that drive, knocked them back, hooked them, took it in the end zone. Old-fashioned way.
And no hesitation by Coles either now.
No.
I saw a little daylight, smoked it up in there. Nice.
No, he's run hard all night.
Extra point by Gostkowski, and North Texas penalties put them back down 14 points as Memphis cashes it in. Their 3rd team running back, sophomore from Memphis, LaKendis Cole, scoring for the first time. Long faces again now on the Mean Green side as they celebrate on the other side of the Superdome. Memphis went right at Brandon Kennedy and got a touchdown by LaKendis Cole to make it 24-10. 9:08 to go. And the Tigers, who thought they had total control of this thing, now do again.
One of them said Saddam was caught and I graduated. Miracles happened.
Patrick Byrne, also a backup quarterback, handles the kickoffs and has done a superb job tonight. Will Branch bringing this one out 4 yards deep. When they did that in the first half, they fumbled at their own 8. This time they get only to their own 14-yard line.
And how do you score against a dominating nose man? A nose man is dangerous if he penetrates in the A-gap next to the center. That's not what Brandon Kennedy does. He jumps way out here, which leaves his linebacker on an island.
Yeah, when you're down at the 5-yard line, you cannot jump 2 gaps. Like Coach said, he's going to come over here in the B gap. It's going to put Chris Hurd on an island one-on-one, which gives the tailback a 2-way go. See, Chris Hurd doesn't have a chance. He can stick him up all you want, but he's got a 2-way go. It's no shot. Where Brandon Kennedy is his best football player, not when he's jumping around, but when he's penetrating up the field. Not around the field, up the field. That's when he dominates.
Fake the Branch in motion. Hall looks up. Blunt hangs on to this one.
And down to the 41. Blunt wide open in the first half, underthrown by a good 5 yards. This one goes 45 yards.
It's a good play call by Ramon Flanagan because they took Quinn. They ran him out, ran the defensive corner out of the play. They brought Blunt all the way from the backside over there. You see Blunt lined up there. He's going to run all the way across the field. Scotty Hall just puts it where he can catch the ball right in the basket because the corner vacated the area because of Quinn running him out of the area. Nice play call, good route, and a great throw by Scotty Hall.
They go to Blunt, they get results. A touchdown by every 4 catches. The junior from Bandera, Texas. All seeming to settle down, not overthrowing everybody. Reverse, Joel Nwigwe back to Hall. Avoids Coop Terry and overthrows Nwigwe, who started that whole circus.
If they would have had it, they had Johnny Quinn right in the end zone, wide open.
And not for the first time tonight.
Primary receiver was Johnny Quinn. He's wide open. The problem was that Scott Hall did not have time to deliver the football. At this very moment, when Quinn's breaking open, Hall had a rusher in his face, and he had to avoid him. Coop Terry, number 37, was right up in Hall's face, and he could not get the ball thrown on a play that would have otherwise worked.
Well, that is at least 4 touchdowns that might have been for North Texas. Cobbs making 1 tackle, and then Scott Vogel wrestles him down, or does he? Wow. Took some help from Harper.
But there, you've seen plays. Yeah, you've seen plays this year, most notably South Carolina and Ole Miss, when you think you got a good back tackle and you roll him over your body and he doesn't ever touch the ground, and you think the play's over, and he gets up and runs for a touchdown. That's exactly what this guy, Cobbs, is capable of. So that was a good idea to keep on tackling him till you got him down.
Midway in the 4th, 4-down territory without question. 3rd and 8 here. They've gotten only 2 out of 11 third downs. Hall again well protected. Branch inside the 5. He's down at the 2.
A great throw by Scotty Hall. I'll tell you that right now, and a great job of Jamel Brandt's getting beat up like a ping pong ball inside between 2 guys, and Scotty Hall delivered the ball to a spot. Outstanding call.
The great news for Scott Hall was the fact that his big guys up front did a beautiful job of pass protection. It was perfect pocket protection. Very difficult to do against the Joe Lee Dunn defense, but nonetheless, it was done.
You're seeing the heart of a champion in North Texas right here.
Yes, you are.
Not quitting.
47 yards, 1st and goal from the King. Who else but Patrick Cobbs to get the touchdown, his 2nd of the night.
And he wanted no doubt that he was in that end zone. He kept those legs pumping until he was 4 yards deep. What an answer. Champions answer points, Chris.
And a good call by Coach Dickey and Ramon Flanagan. Why? Because they came back to the counter game, which Memphis has not stopped yet. It's the counter OF. It's a lead block by the fullback. You're having your backside guard come around and lead the little power man up inside for 6 points.
And another chance to get within 7. Basil Dua is 43 out of 44 for the year, and it's 24-17. Well, it took him only a minute 55 to go 86 yards on 5 plays. Cobbs finished it, but the Keys 2 strikes deep by Hall.
It wasn't the counter OF, it was the power O. And that's when you have a lead back. Watch it. And right here's the lead back. The fullback will kick out. There's the guard leading up into the hole. And Cobbs showing some power.
Showing some power. And what North Texas must do right now, number 1, eliminate the stupid penalties that have kept them from at least being tied here and maybe having a touchdown lead. And number 2, they got to execute on defense.
They've been playing defense now. They've been doing some snot bubblers, man.
Yeah, but not the last drive. They got knocked in the back of the end zone.
They got their snot bubbles on defense that last year. You're right.
On the score, Cobbs behind the senior, starting his 48th game. Grand Prairie, Texas, 3-time first team All Sun Belt Conference Nick Zuniga. And Joe Lee Dunn has a very clear message for his guy.
Rush the passer. You let that guy stand there. He's on rhythm now. There it is. Rush the passer, please. Pass, rush, man. I would really appreciate it. Or work to that effect.
Bringing it of y'all. Somebody got to get there.
Not sure about this reasoning here. Let him start at the 31-yard line.
He might have mishit that because you're right. Why do that?
Haven't returned anything all night.
I see the coach going over there asking him, what are you doing? So he's going, when the coach comes down and talks to the kicker, you know you had a miscommunication on what you want done.
When the kicker comes off about 40 yards from the coach and gets behind the lineman, you know there's a reason for that. I don't know, Coach. I don't know what I was thinking about.
So Memphis from their 32. Full house again. And Cole to not quite the 35. Near the couple.
That play will allow me to show you what I meant on the touchdown play. This time, Brandon Kennedy hits the A-gap, penetrates, gets a piece of the back, and it completely screws up the play.
Got to play.
This time, somebody got him on the sideline. His defensive coordinator, Kenny Evans, or somebody, and said, son, hit the A-gap, not the B.
Memphis without starting receiver Chris Kelly now with a right knee injury out for the game. This is a first down. Tight end John Doucette for 10 yards.
That's a big tight end now. That's 270 pounds, and he's matched up with Chris Hurd, the linebacker. And what he does is he gets Chris Hurd on his hip. And Doucette did a nice job of accelerating out of the cut for 270 and making hands. Now, if I'm Doucette, I want to go ahead and face that big man up. I don't want him to have a leeway like that and use his big body to shield me from the ball. And Danny went right to him. First option, first read, bam, through the strike.
242 yards now for Wimprine. 16 to 22, has not thrown a pick. He had 4 in the last regular season game, the loss to South Florida. And around Avery, 4 knee and all, he gets 6 out of this. Good yardage on first down, hit by Craig Jones. And
I was not
burn time, Bill, inside 6 minutes now.
I was not a proponent of all these bowl games. When I first saw we were going to have so many bowl games, like a lot of people, I thought, well, what's the use? Well, here it is, folks. This is wonderful. These guys are playing a great football game in front of a great crowd in a community that appreciates it, and it justifies all of the bowl game thinking in my mind.
Hard to tell schools that waited 32 and 42 years. Too many bowls. On the keeper, first down yardage. Wimprine to the 42 of the Mean Green. Thursday night, more bowl action here on ESPN2. The GMAC Bowl from Mobile, Alabama, 7:30 Eastern. Ben Roethlisberger and MAC champion Miami of Ohio against the Louisville Cardinals. And the quarterback, Stephon LaForce.
Nice little matchup with Stephon LaForce. Now, I had a chance to do Louisville. He's a dangerous football player, and Louisville's got a great offense. In fact, the #1 offense in Conference USA. Good USA and MAC. That's a nice little matchup. I love that.
Tigers doing what they need on this drive. Couple first downs, eating time inside 5 minutes now. Cole just inside the 40.
We had a heck of an experience at the GMAC Bowl a year ago. Byron Leftwich's last game, Johnny L. Smith's last game at Louisville. There was a lot of drama that night for a whole lot of reasons.
A cell phone was made popular that night, wasn't it?
Cell phone was big time. Joe Horn would have been so proud of him.
Is really needing to force a 3rd and long here. Draw play, and he'll do it. No gain for Cole.
Again with Booger. Penetrating Booger.
Yeah, that phone call you're talking about, very expensive, as it turned out once the fine was handed down today for Joe Horn, hiding the cell phone inside that goalpost pad.
Can you hear me now for 30 grand?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Chris, if you had been in uniform that night, what would you have done with Joe Horn?
I would have grabbed him and smashed the cell phone. I would have George Teagued him, which George Teague did to Terrell Owens on the Star. You can't do that to those guys. And I'm disappointed the Giants didn't step up.
3rd and 8, caught Pletcher, first down, and the Tigers keep rolling on maybe a game-clinching drive. 12 yards.
It's a great read by Danny Wimprine, understanding the weakness of the defense, seeing the corner playing it off. You run a 5-yard hitch, all you got to do is fall forward for 3. You got the first down. But look at the read right away, no hesitation, and bam, on target. Pletcher doesn't have to work for the ball. He catches the ball and immediately goes from the catch to the run transition in a heartbeat. Nice.
First game of the bowl season's been a good one. Inside 3.5 minutes into the New Orleans Bowl. Won by North Texas last year. They trailed by as many as 14 tonight. Desperately trying to get the ball back here as Cole meets Kennedy. And Evan Cardwell head on. North Texas, 2 timeouts remaining. Memphis has only 1, and the next snap will happen with less than 3 minutes to go.
Nice adjustment by Kenny Evans and the defensive staff of the Mean Green with their star player. Brandon Kennedy is playing good football now. He's either stuffing the center straight back or he's taking the A gap on either side, and he's really unblockable.
That one for no gain. 2 tight ends, 1 tight end, beg your pardon, in motion. Out of the eye, Cole. 2 to 25, 3rd and 7 coming. And North Texas will use that next to last time out here with 2:36 to go. Running right at Booger Kennedy with mixed results tonight. Only result that matters right now is Memphis leading by 7 late. Always action on Bourbon Street. Been this week for the New Orleans Bowl. There will be in a couple of weeks for the Nokia Sugar Bowl to decide the BCS championship right back here in the Superdome. That's what they're playing for tonight. And Memphis is looking at a 3rd and 7 with 2:36 to go. They just forced North Texas use its next to last timeout. And if they get this first down, it is awfully hard, even for the most optimistic of the Mean Green, to figure how they're going to pull out a miracle here. Keeping it on the ground with Cole sweeping, no gain. And the last time out here with 2:29 on the clock.
And a big-time play by Taylor Casey, number 4. And these linebackers have been all over the field, as we have been led to believe that they would be. We got Hurd, Spencer, and Casey for 8 tackles, and 5 tackles respectively.
Taylor Casey does,
Taylor Casey, yep.
Does a nice job. And I'll tell you what, if you're a linebacker, you got a little wide receiver on you, better defeat the block to make the tackle, or you need a new can of linebackers.
They come in a can?
And
some of us do.
And what position did you play, Chris?
I'm a can of linebacker. But you get a wide receiver that can handle you, then you're in trouble. That was a nice job of using his hands. And looked like White to me didn't want any part of that contact now. He came a little shy. Don't be shy.
42-yard field goal coming Thursday night. ESPN with the exclusive announcement of the 2004 NFL Pro Bowl starters. Special edition of the NFL Live Pro Bowl Selection Show presented by Sears, 7 Eastern Thursday on ESPN.
I got to tell my Joe Green Pro Bowl story. Joe Green was supposedly such a nice guy off the field, and he beat you to death on Sunday afternoon. So when we went to the Pro Bowl, I told Carolyn, we're going to go to this luncheon. I want you to sit with that guy over there. She went and sat and had lunch with Joe Green. The rest of my career, every time we played the Steelers, Joe would come out and say, oh, how's Carolyn? How's she doing? He never kicked me. He didn't hurt me. He didn't break my neck or anything.
Yep, you over-merit, Coach. You over-merit.
It worked. I still couldn't block him, though.
Gostkowski's longest has been 45. This one for a 10-point lead, 42. And he has got it nailed.
I'll tell you, that's a great job of kicking and being the pitcher. He threw one right down the middle. He did it with that right leg, though. That was a nice, good execution of the mechanics of the field goal. Good snap, good hold, and he drilled it.
You know who the special teams coach is?
Depends now if they're playing well.
Yeah, well, Tommy's still looking at his watch to see if that thing got off in 1.2.
Yeah. He's got a pretty good feel. Kickers do. Usually after it leaves their foot, they'll get an idea. Yeah, he knows that's good. That's a strike. He threw the fastball in there. I asked him how his elbow said. He said his elbow's fine. He's getting ready for that pitching season. It was a good kick. Good solid kick under pressure.
It really was, and it makes North Texas' job extremely difficult. Now they need 2 scores.
It's difficult because they have not taken advantage of their chances, unlike Memphis. Not many blown opportunities tonight by the Tigers. This was early. Andy Blunt wide open. That's a touchdown if it's thrown correctly. Fumble brought it out from 9 yards deep in the end zone. Kevin Moore, and it's recovered by the Tigers at the 8. That cost him 3. Face mask leading to a scoring drive by Memphis.
Third down play right there. Third down penalty.
At least 4 would-be touchdowns, either overthrown or Cobb slipping or something going awry for North Texas. And Memphis, every chance they have had to get on the scoreboard, they've gotten points.
Well, except when they had a field goal that bounced off the upright.
That was the only one.
And they self-destructed with penalties down close early in the 3rd. Don't let it out.
Kevin Moore has learned his lesson. So 10 down, no timeouts, 2:26 to go for a non-passing offense. Although on that last drive, Scott Hall hit the 2 out of 4 for 82 yards. NBA Fast Break Tuesday coming up next. We'll have more on this New Orleans Bowl if you want to switch over to ESPN News.
Danny Wimprine not only has the mental characteristics of Brett Favre, but also a little bit of the physical characteristics.
Yeah, looks like him. And that's a compliment. Brett Favre, one of my favorite players, had the privilege of coaching him in the East-West Shrine game. We knew then he'd be a star.
You didn't coach him up too much, did you?
We didn't say nothing to him. Just gave him the ball.
All swarmed. Struggles to get within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage.
But that was a double eagle, or what's called a Bears defense, popularized by Buddy Ryan when he was the coordinator for the Bears. Both guards and the center covered. Very difficult because everybody across the front and the middle 3, one-on-one protection.
And after him again, he gets Blunt, and Blunt goes nowhere.
Blitz coverage.
Ballard.
Yep, blitz coverage, man-to-man. The theory is that you're not going to have time to set up and throw it deep. You're going to have to dump it off in hot fashion like that, and Ballard, Johnny on the spot.
It was a great form tackle by Derek Ballard. It was something you don't see a lot in college football today.
It looked like a Chris Spielman special.
I don't know, but he kept his head up and he brought his feet. And he 1-stepped and wrapped, 2 steps to squeeze, and closed the gate in front of the ball and brought a little nasty with it.
Patrick Cobb's being helped off the field. The worst of all possible signs here, even though they need to pass, could still figure in. And headed toward the bench. 3rd down and 10. Coming after Hall again. Jamel Branch. And he was face masked. Still gets the 1st down to the 37-yard line. And they'll tack on some extra to the 17-yard gain as they continue to check on Cobbs. Team doctor Robert Gershon looking Patrick over.
Again, the point that Coach made and we both noticed was that there's no quit in either of these football teams. And
incidental grabbing of the face mask defense. 5 yards will be tacked on the end of the run. 1st down.
North Texas still alive. And Chris, you just continue with what you were saying there because these are 2 gritty outfits.
Yeah, and to me, it's a reflection of the coaches.
Yep.
And if the coaches, this is a reward for these kids. North Texas winning the Sun Belt Conference. Tommy West, first bowl game in 32 years for Memphis. They're playing like it, and it's fun to watch.
Ball can't get off.
Coot. Yep, it's double eagle. We don't have time to do replays because there's no huddle, but it's a Bears defense covering both guards, all man coverage with a free safety, and he just doesn't have anybody in time to deliver.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. I had to say Coot. Okay, couldn't help it.
I'll be my guest. For Memphis to get back into the postseason with such a young roster, just 8 seniors. This flag to stop the clock at 1:04.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Now, Heather, when you go from 3 wins last year to 9-4 to hang on to this, that's got to pay off for Tommy West.
Well, I think it'll definitely make an impact because I spoke with Memphis Athletic Director R.C. Johnson yesterday. His goal was to announce a contract extension before tonight's game, but travel commitments didn't allow them to finalize the details. What has been confirmed is the length of the contract. It will extend to 2008. What they need to iron out is the money, of course, and I certainly think this will help get the budget up a little bit. Both parties hope the contract will be finalized by the first of the year.
And he's really enjoyed himself in Memphis. He knows what it's like to win 7, get to a bowl, and get fired at Clemson. So
Offsides, defense, contact foul, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
nice to be appreciated, and Tommy West is very appreciated at Memphis. And our Capital One players of the game, pretty obvious. Danny Wimprine for the Tigers throws for 254. Scores one on the ground through the hands of Enwigwe here. Patrick Cobbs with both North Texas touchdowns at 110 yards. That's still 47 below his average. But when Scott Hall could get absolutely nothing going, Cobbs finally breaks a couple in the second half and gets North Texas back into the game.
You know, if I had to pick a guy, too, if we pick a defensive guy, I think Eric Taylor from Memphis has just been outstanding, both against the run and the pass, playing with high energy and a high motor.
3rd and 12, and then we tee off. Ball with time this time. It overthrows Branch. And last gasp time with 37 seconds.
And the guy that was constantly in Memphis's backfield was Michael Pruitt, number 93 for the Mean Green.
Right.
Had a wonderful game. Even better than his more famous teammates.
Well, the effort of both teams has just been outstanding, and these guys do feel like it's their national championship, Coach, and it's just been a joy to watch, and the excitement of the people from North Texas and the fans from Memphis. It's college football, which is, to me, a celebration.
It's changed my whole perspective on the bowl thing.
4th and 12 for Hall, and the down is hit as he tries to get rid of it. That will do it.
Coop with a little speed rush off the corner there. Again, Joe Lee using one of his linebackers, putting him as a defensive end. It's off to the races. It's a race to the quarterback. See ball, get ball.
Too many bowls, not when you look at that.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome. What a great, I think, Coach, you've been in that position. That's got to be just an awesome feeling.
It is. That stuff sliming all down in your britches. It's freezing cold, and you're thinking, good gosh, I've got to get out of these clothes. That's mainly what you're thinking. No, you're also proud of the guys, and you do. It's a great moment. You don't think about anything except all those months together with the hard-working youngsters.
Danny Wimprine, the New Orleans Bowl MVP. Memphis, after a 32-year postseason absence, and after a 3-win 2002 season, goes 9-4, and they win the 2003 New Orleans Bowl. And in so doing, they end the North Texas win streak at 8. Champions last year, the Mean Green fall 27-17. 6 years at Clemson, he took those Tigers to 4 bowls. These Tigers probably feel like they just won the Nokia Sugar Bowl.
Well, they had to beat a very hard-fighting, well-prepared North Texas team. A team that comes from a conference that's not as much recognized, but one that can be proud of their representative tonight.
And don't underestimate what this can do for his recruiting, too, now. Look at that. That's the first. You haven't had that in a while. It's great to see from Memphis.
Heather is with the MVP tonight, Danny Wimprine.
Danny, congratulations on a great game. The last time Memphis was in a bowl game was before you were born. Do you understand what this means for this program?
It's been a long time coming. These guys have worked really hard. Finally started to play as a team this year. It's a great feeling. I feel so great for this entire program.
What does it mean to you to do this in front of more than 100 friends and family in your hometown?
I mean, it's huge. I love this city. Everybody from Memphis came No doubt. That's what the team's all about. And we showed that. We finally started to play as a team this year. And these guys showed a lot of heart, and I'm so proud of them.
You won 4 state high school tournament games here. Are you well aware of what your record is here in this dome?
I think about 9-2 now, something like that. Feels really good. I'm proud of all these guys.
Congratulations, Danny, on a great game. Coach, wonderful performance. I just asked Danny about what this means historically for this program. You've got to have a broader perspective on it. What does it mean for you?
Well, what it means is that we came down here without our back, then we got our other back hurt, and these kids found a way. So, you know, we got a character, a bunch of young people. We're proud of them. But this program is fixing to take off. I don't mind saying that. I mean, I think we've really just scratched the surface.
It's been a long time since you've had a Gatorade bath. Feeling pretty good down here?
Yeah, I like it.
Coach, you've been at Clemson. You've been in some big-time bowl games. Where does this win rank for you?
As good as any of them. It really does, because especially with all the things that happened. Getting the people hurt. Danny was banged up in the game in the second half. So, I mean, it's as good as it gets.
Huge coaching change in the offseason with Joe Lee Dunn coming in as your defensive coordinator. The ability to stop the nation's best runner in Patrick Cobbs, what did your defense do?
Well, Joe Lee's a great football coach. He's run his system. He's tremendous. I said he was the best signee that I had last year. And, boy, I'm glad he's on our side.
Tommy West, enjoy the victory. Congratulations on a huge win for Memphis.
Thank you. Thanks.
Tommy West used to be an advocate of a playoff system, but he says coming to this bowl, this excitement that has spread throughout the town has changed his mind about a playoff.
Well, I have never thought that a playoff made any sense because nobody's ever shown me a playoff system that benefits the players. I've always thought about the players since I was one of them for so much of my life. And when you consider that you would have to virtually dismantle, and you really would lose credibility for these kinds of bowls if you had a playoff system, that's just another reason to keep what we got. As flawed as it is, we can tweak it and we can get it a little better, but this doesn't. It doesn't get any better than this in the sport of football.
I'm a proponent of a playoff system, but without eliminating what we're seeing and witnessing tonight, just the excitement of Memphis football being back, and Coach West coming out and making a rather bold statement, saying this is going to have our program take off. In fact, it's fixing to take off. And I think, if I don't speak Southern, but does fixing mean it's ready to go?
You got it.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you get real Southern, it becomes we're fitting to go. And you come up with a playoff system that shows me where the players benefit, and I'll endorse it with you.
Well, Conference USA fitting to get real busy in the postseason. They got Louisville and the GMAC Thursday. TCU against Boise State, a great Plains Capital Fort Worth Bowl matchup. Houston, Hawaii, in Honolulu, Southern Miss, Utah, in Memphis. Memphis wins this one, and they take that trophy back with them, 27-17. Is the final over Sun Belt champion North Texas. A whole different perspective when you come from a program where just success isn't quite enough at Clemson. Maybe they've learned some things this past couple of years' experience with Tommy Bowden, to a program that is starved for success. And Tommy West has given them a taste of it. Probably a lot more to come.
And plus the seniors, Dave, how that's a reward for them. And to stand up there with the podium with their coach has got to be the highlight of their career as seniors leaving the program.
8-4 season, first bowl since 1971. You put it all together. You brought your fellas down here. You played a terrific game. The fans are just wonderful. They followed you to New Orleans. Congratulations, and I want to present you the championship trophy of the New Orleans Bowl.
Congratulations to the Tigers winners coming up next year on ESPN2. Kevin Frazier, Greg Anthony, Tim Legler with NBA Fast Break Tuesday.
There's two groups. There's three groups of people that this wouldn't have happened. Number one's our coaches. We got a great coaching staff. Number two is this great bunch of players right here. And number three is you. We love you. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.